Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
At a corner of the martial arts practice field, Duan Ling Tian's body was like a spirit serpent as his figure shifted ceaselessly. He seemed slow but was actually swift as the wind. I should be able to break through the initial stage in at least 10 days, or at most half a month's time. Duan Ling Tian's figure jerked, and he once again stood still. The corners of his mouth curved into a faint smile. According to Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories, Duan Ling Tian knew that his spirit serpent movement technique was currently in the rudiment stage and would soon be able to step into the initial stage. When the spirit serpent movement technique steps into the initial stage, he will gain a qualitative change in speed. Spirit serpent movement technique is a high-grade profound rank martial skill. Even at the initial stage, it is comparable to a middle-grade profound rank martial skill at the mastery stage and a low-grade profound rank martial skill at the perfection stage. Duan Ling Tian stopped cultivating in a timely manner as perseverance was key and results wouldn't be achieved overnight. He was prepared to return home and absorb the 7 treasures body tempering liquid to cultivate so that he can reach the 9th level of the body tempering stage as soon as possible. According to what he gathered, the yearly clan martial meet would be held 2 months from now. If he wanted to become an inner court disciple, he would need to show strength that greatly exceeded his peers during the clan martial meet. The corner of the martial arts practice field that Duan Ling Tian chose was quite deserted. When he walked out and arrived at the central area of the martial arts practice field, he noticed a group of people standing scattered around and watching something. Influenced by his curiosity, he walked over. In the middle of the crowd, a beautiful and graceful figure stood there. In her hands was a 3-foot-long blade that had transformed into a sword luster, skillfully revealing an extraordinary sword skill. This was a beautiful young girl around the age of 17. Her face was as fair as flowers and as beautiful as the moon. Since he arrived in this world, she was the only woman he had seen besides Ku-Er and his mother with such an outstanding appearance. The young girl had soft and straight long hair which accompanied her figure's movements, lightly fluctuating. Under the blazing sun's illumination, the 3-foot-long blade in her hand flickered with a dazzling luster. Abruptly, an ancient mammoth silhouette developed above her. Whoosh! Her sword struck out, leaving a string of afterimages behind as it swept past. 3 leaves that dropped off a tree on the side were all cut in 2, drifting down to the ground. When the girl finished, she was already drenched in sweat. Clap, 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 clap. Immediately, the surroundings sounded with applause and cheers. As expected of one of our outer court's top 3, Big Sister Shur. Her perfect stage shadow sword is too formidable. Yeah, cutting 3 leaves which were not in a straight line with only 1 sword strike. In the entire outer court, I'm afraid only Big Sister Shur is capable of it. 17 years old and at the 9th level of the body tempering stage. With the low-grade profound rank martial skill, Shadow Sword, cultivated to the perfection stage, Big Sister Shur is first on the list in our Li clan's younger generation females. Duan Ling Tian heard the surrounding cheers and applause. Top 3 in the outer court? Big Sister Shur? Could it be that she is Li Shur? Duan Ling Tian recalled that when he went to the trade market medicine store a few days ago, Li Xiao and Li Yuan mentioned a girl called Li Shur in their chat. Seeing her today, she really deserved her reputation. In terms of her appearance, she was just a fraction inferior to his Ku-Er. Big Sister Shur, wipe your sweat. A young girl lightly smiled as she passed a handkerchief to Li Shur. After Li Shur wiped off the sweat on her forehead, her clear pupils constricted as she noticed that one of the gazes from the crowd was different from the rest. All of the people present were practically lost in amazement towards her sword skill. But this person seemed to be thinking that her sword skill was not worthy to be taken seriously. In her heart arose a slight sense of loss and competitiveness. You think my sword skill is ordinary? Under the gazes of the surrounding people, Li Shur arrived in front of the youth, her tone containing a trace of questioning. At this moment, the people present noticed the youth. Isn't he Duan Ling Tian? It's him. I was there on that day. He seems to be only 16. The young girl who's usually inseparable from him is actually not here. I heard that that young girl's beauty is even slightly above Li Shi's. Hearing the surrounding discussion, Li Shi's clear eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. She had heard of what happened a few days ago. Your sword skill is not bad. If you lessen the flare slightly, maybe it could become even stronger. Duanling Tian, who was the focus of the crowd, indifferently nodded. Flare? The surrounding crowd roared in laughter. This Duanling Tian can't be thinking that just because his howling tiger fist is formidable, he is capable of giving Big Sister Shi guidance in her sword skills, right? Just a layman, but he dares to talk nonsense. Big Sister Shi's Shadow Sword's cultivation stage is perhaps similar to his Howling Tiger Fist, but Big Sister Shi's cultivation is one level higher than his. Combined with the 3-foot-long blade in her hand, she would be able to easily defeat him. The crowd started to defend Li Shi against Duanling Tian. I only heard that your Howling Tiger Fist is formidable. Could it be that you're also proficient in sword skills? Li Shi glanced at Duanling Tian with a profound gaze. Duanling Tian didn't expect that speaking the truth would give rise to public wrath. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Sometimes it isn't easy to be a truthful person. Sword. Walking out in large strides, Duanling Tian unfolded his hand in front of Li Shi. Li Shi reacted and passed her sword to Duanling Tian. Her gaze emitted astonishment as she guessed what Duanling Tian planned to do. This Duanling Tian still wants to display his slight skill in front of an expert? He's simply too rash. Most people who noticed this scene had a disdainful expression. Duanling Tian took no notice as the facts would be able to speak for themselves. In the next moment, Duanling Tian replaced Li Shi. His hand grasped the 3-foot-long blade as he stood in the middle of the crowd. The wind swept by, and the leaves of the tree started drifting down. Whoosh! Under the gazes of everyone, Duanling Tian's sword moved. But everyone present, including Li Shi, only saw a flowing shine flicker by. From start to finish, they weren't even able to see how Duanling Tian struck with his sword. He's completed his sword strike? Everyone had doubt in their hearts. Quickly, look. Someone seemed as if to have noticed something. What they saw was that from the string of leaves that had drifted down from the tree earlier, there were more than 10 that had been sliced into 2, slowly dropping to the ground. Hiss! The people present couldn't help but exhale deep breaths of cold air. Only after Duanling Tian had returned the sword and left did Li Shi finally regain her senses. Looking at the proud and aloof view of his back from afar, Li Shi's heart had a feeling of defeat for the first time. The honor of being the top 3 in the outer court seemed like a title made to mock to her. Since the day she started cultivating, she had always used a sword. Towards sword skills, she had an intuition that exceeded common people. She knew in her heart that if she had to fight Duanling Tian one day, even if Duanling Tian's cultivation was lower than hers by 1 level, Duanling Tian could easily defeat her or even kill her with that sword strike from before. Duanling Tian, I'll remember you, Li Shi silently said in her heart. Duanling Tian saw what happened earlier as something that was just casually done, not even worth mentioning. But using Li Shi's low-grade profound rank martial skill, Shadow Sword, as a reference, combined with Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories to estimate, Duanling Tian came to a conclusion. His sword-drawing arts at full strength had a might comparable to a middle-grade profound rank sword skill at the perfection stage, or comparable to a high-grade profound rank sword skill at the mastery stage. If he took someone by surprise, it could even achieve the effect of a high-grade profound rank sword skill. Duanling Tian abruptly stopped walking as he looked towards the path home. The 2 figures were standing there. They seemed to have been waiting for him for a long time. Li Yuan, Li Xiao. Duanling Tian casually glanced at them before deciding to go around them. But who knew that they would be so overbearing, even blocking Duanling Tian's path once more? Is something the matter? Duanling Tian's eyes flashed with a cold light. He didn't want to create trouble, but it didn't mean he was scared of it. Duanling Tian, give us all the silver bills you have. Li Xiao grunted. Having Li Yuan, one of the top 3 in the outer court, to back him up, he was filled with confidence. If he knew of the marvelous sword skill that Duan Tian had executed in the martial arts practice field earlier that even caused one of the top 3 in the outer court, Li Shishir, to feel admiration and her own inferiority, he would probably not have such thoughts as the one now. The affairs of the world were marvelously so. You want all the silver bills I have? Duan Tian laughed and patted his thick chest. I did bring quite the amount of silver bills, but why should I give them to you? Why? Li Xiao sneered. If you don't want to suffer, then be good and hand over all your silver bills. Also, from now on, make the young girl that's always by your side, Ku Er, accompany brother Li Yuan. Shut up. Duan Tian's sword-shaped eyebrows twitched. His expression didn't seem angry, but it had an imposing manner, and an extremely terrifying killing intent instantly enveloped Li Xiao. Ku Er was like the reversed scale on a dragon's neck to him. Touch it, and he would go into a rage and kill the person. Li Xiao's expression became fearful and his legs started to shiver. Killing intent like Azura's caused his mental barriers to collapse. Oomph! Duan Tian walked away in large strides with a snort. If he was at any other place, he would have long ago crippled or killed Li Xiao. But this was the Aurora City Li clan. If he crippled or killed Li Xiao, even if the Li clan disregarded the matter, Li Xiao's family would not let it go. After all, Li Xiao was a main clan disciple with deep roots in the clan. He couldn't avoid having to think twice. Brother Li Yuan, why didn't you stop him? Li Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. He had a puzzled expression as he looked Li Yuan. Looks like we looked down upon this Duan Tian. He isn't ordinary. Li Yuan's expression was heavy. Although Duan Tian's killing intent was directed at Li Xiao earlier, he was lightly touched by it, and it caused his heart to shake. Surely it doesn't mean that we're just going to let it go like this? Li Xiao had an unwilling expression. Drawing in a deep breath, Li Yuan slowly said, "We can go look for him again once my golden bell cover steps into the initial stage. For some reason, I don't have any confidence in winning right now." What? Li Xiao's expression was filled with disbelief. He didn't expect that a mere branch family disciple, and a disciple with another surname at that, would actually be able to cause Li Yuan, who was considered one of the top 3 in the other court, to think twice. After hesitating for a while, Li Xiao asked, "Brother Li Yuan, should we get my brother to make a move?" Li Yuan's eyes flickered as he slowly said, "What? Don't tell me you want to let your brother get a share? According to what I know, although you two are siblings, your relationship isn't that good. Your brother has both openly and secretly called you trash. If he takes part in the matter, I'm worried all the benefits of our efforts will be reaped by him." Li Xiao's expression turned grim. This was a real possibility. There was no one who was more clear of his brother's conducts than himself, dominating and fearless. Okay then, we'll wait for brother Li Yuan's golden bell cover to step into the initial stage. Humph. We'll just let that Duan Tian be complacent for a few more days. Li Xiao quickly made a decision. In the following days, Duan Tian would often bring Ku Er along to the martial arts practice field to cultivate her movement technique. They slowly blended into the Aurora City Li clan, winning over the respect of many main clan disciples. In this world, the strong were always respected no matter where they went. Half a month's time passed in the blink of an eye. Although Duan Tian and Ku Er's cultivation had not broken through, their strength had undergone a heaven-shattering transformation. First of all was the defense martial skills. Under the assistance of the Bloodlingji body refinement liquid, Duan Tian's greater teleportation and Ku Er's stealth substitution were both successfully cultivated to the initial stage. As for the offensive martial skills, Duan Tian didn't dip into any of them. Ku Er, on the hand, continued her painstaking cultivation of the sword-drawing arts without stopping. If Duan Tian's sword-drawing arts was considered to have stepped into the perfection stage, then Ku Er's sword-drawing arts could be considered to have reached the mastery stage. Of course, the reason Ku Er progressed so quickly was due to her painstaking cultivation. Since the day she started cultivating the sword-drawing arts until now, she spent at least 5 hours a day practicing it. People who put in painstaking effort were always rewarded. This was something even Duan Tian did not find unexpected. Something worth mentioning was that during this past month's time, Due to Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er always cultivating their movement techniques in the martial arts practice field, they became familiar with Li Shi, especially Ku Er. Her and Li Shi started calling each other sisters. Martial arts practice field. Duan Ling Tian's figure flashed as if he had no bones. He stopped for a moment and then moved at swift speeds like a spirit serpent that was flying out in a flash. He was indeed cultivating the spirit serpent movement technique. The beautiful young girl stood at the side, silently watching him with a slightly smiling expression of happiness. Little sister Ku Er. Abruptly, a voice sounded from afar. Another beautiful young girl walked over with quick strides. Her hand grasped a sheathed fine steel sword, making her seem valiant and heroic. Big sister Shi. Ku Er lightly smiled as she greeted the person. Little sister Ku Er, I'm going to the trade market to buy some things. Come with me. The person was indeed Li Shi. Hearing what she said, Ku Er unconsciously looked towards the youth whose figure was flashing about, but she didn't disturb him. Instead, she silently waited. Duan Ling Tian, I'm borrowing Ku Er for a while. You don't mind, right? Li Shi looked at the youth. Whoosh. Duan Ling Tian's figure lightly jerked, taking advantage of force exerted to come to a stop. His forehead was emitting hot sweat. A fragrant smell entered his nose as Ku Er walked forward to help him wipe his sweat. She was like a lovely little wife. I really can't stand the two of you. Li Shi had a nauseated expression. At this moment, no one noticed that deep within her gaze, a feeling of loss flashed quickly before disappearing. Ku Er, go ahead. Take care of yourself. Duan Ling Tian smiled towards the young girl beside him. Besides himself, Ku Er had finally gotten a similar-aged friend. Duan Ling Tian naturally would not restrict their contact. Don't worry, your Ku Er won't even lose a hair. Li Shi gave Duan Ling Tian a look before grabbing Ku Er's hand and walking off. On the way, they attracted many gazes from lascivious men. After the two girls left, Duan Ling Tian continued his cultivation, spirit serpent movement technique. If anyone with a keen gaze was present, they would notice a barely visible defensive chi barrier on the surface of Duan Ling Tian's body. Defensive martial skill. Duan Ling Ting seemed to have forgotten the time as he cultivated. Every time his figure flashed about, he felt a comfortable feeling spreading through his entire body. Duan Ling Tian. Suddenly, a loud shout interrupted Duan Ling Tian's cultivation. Duan Ling Tian frowned as he saw the two familiar faces coming over shoulder to shoulder. It was indeed Li Yuan and Li Xiao. In fact, Duan Ling Tian hadn't seen them for the past half-month. He originally thought that they were scared stiff from the killing intent he emitted the other day and would not dare to cause trouble for him anymore. But now it seemed that it was not the case. What? Duan Ling Tian looked at them with a calm expression. Duan Ling Tian, hand over what we want, or else today you will have to crawl home from here, Li Xiao said, in a cold voice. You want my things? Sure. Duan Ling Tian smiled indifferently. Huh. Li Xiao and Li Yuan were dumbstruck. Since when was this Duan Ling Tian so easy to deal with? Duan Ling Tian stopped for a moment better, he added. Defeat me? Okay. I'll make you sincerely hand everything over. Li Xiao walked out quickly, standing face to face with Duan Ling Tian. At this moment, the people in the martial arts practice field noticed the commotion over here and came over to spectate. The deserted corner of the martial arts practice field was quickly surrounded by people. It's Li Yuan. Li Yuan and Big Sister Shi are the same. They are the top 3 strongest disciples in our outer court. Is he going to battle Duan Ling Tian? I think so. Although Duan Ling Tian is only a branch family disciple, his sword skills have reached perfection. Even Big Sister Shi felt like she was inferior. Even though his cultivation is weaker than Li Yuan's, he's not necessarily not a match for Li Yuan. You mentioned sword skills. Didn't you notice that Duan Ling Tian doesn't have a sword with him? He can't be thinking of fighting Li Yuan empty-handed, right? Even though his Howling Tiger Fist has broken through to the mastery stage, everyone knows that Li Yuan's middle-grade profound rank martial skill, Heart Destruction Palm, has also been cultivated to the mastery stage. More importantly, Li Yuan is at the 9th level of the body tempering stage, whereas Duanling Tian is only at the 8th level. The crowd's discussion didn't look favorably upon Duanling Tian, who didn't have a sword in hand. Some people who had swords wanted to lend them to Duanling Tian, but were afraid of offending Li Yuan. Li Yuan was not simply a main clan disciple, he was also a clan elder's nephew. This was also the reason why, even though he was only an outer court disciple, he cultivated the offensive martial skill, Heart Destruction Palm, defensive martial skill, Golden Bell Cover, and movement technique, Unfettered Steps, which were all middle-grade profound rank martial skills. Others could only be envious of it. The two of you come at me together. Duanling Tian shot a glance at Li Yuan before looking at Li Xiao. Don't overestimate yourself. Against you, I am more than enough. Li Yuan got angry from embarrassment as Duanling Tian looked down upon him. His figure abruptly moved. Unfettered steps. Li Yuan's legs stepped in a peculiar manner, quickly moving forward, arriving in front of Duanling Tian in a blink of an eye. Heart Destruction Palm. His palm struck out and shook the air as it brought along the force of heart destruction, flying straight towards Duanling Tian. At the same time, a strand of white mist congealed into an ancient mammoth silhouette above Li Yuan. Initial stage, Unfettered Steps, and Mastery stage, Heart Destruction Palm. Exclamations sounded from within the crowd of spectators. Duanling Tian's eyes flickered as his upper body inclined backwards, his arms pulled back into the shape of a bow, and at the very moment he completed this action, he abruptly trembled. Collapsing Fist. Duanling Tian swung out, his collapsing fist to intercept Li Yuan's Heart Destruction Palm. Bang! The fist and palm collided. Immediately, Duanling Tian felt that Li Yuan's palm strike strength was stronger than his collapsing fist. Furthermore, a strand of a strange force actually followed through his fist, trying to enter into his arm. Greater teleportation. Without any hesitation, Duanling Tian activated his defensive martial skill, directing the strand of strange force, teleporting the force around, and causing it to shoot out in reverse. Do unto another what they do unto you. Bang! Duanling Tian stayed rooted as if he was a mountain, but Li Yuan, on the other hand, retreated 2 steps, and his expression was filled with disbelief. How could this be possible? Li Yuan was absolutely sure that his strength earlier was stronger than Duanling Tian's, and his heart destruction force was just about to flow into Duanling Tian's body. But just at this moment, Duanling Tian's body emitted a defensive chi barrier that was actually capable of reflecting his heart destruction force back. It was like a mirror. What defensive martial skill is that? Li Yuan was shocked in his heart. This was the first time he had heard of such a bizarre defensive martial skill. Looks like your Golden Bell Cover has already stepped into the initial stage. Duanling Tian's eye narrowed slightly. Li Yuan's Heart Destruction Palm's might was in no way inferior to his collapsing fist. Combined with Li Yuan's cultivation being higher than his and possessing the strength of an ancient mammoth, in a head-on battle, he was inferior to Li Yuan. But with greater teleportation reversing Li Yuan's heart destruction force, which suppressed him, he was still able to gain the upper hand in a head-on battle. Of course, although reversing the heart destruction force did force Li Yuan back, Li Yuan was able to execute Golden Bell Cover in time to block it. Based on the circumstances from before, it could be said that he and Li Yuan were equally matched. But he still had an even stronger trump card. Li Yuan's defensive martial arts has also stepped into the initial stage. He really is a monster. The crowd sounded with exclamations. If Li Yuan is a monster, then what would Duanling Tian be? He's got the upper hand. After this last voice spoke, the crowd became deathly silent. It was true that Li Yuan took the initiative and attacked, and Duanling Tian passively took him head-on, but he still had the upper hand. As far as they were concerned, the superior and inferior side was instantly determined. In terms of attack, Li Yuan was inferior to Duanling Tian. Brother Li Yuan, I'll come help you. Li Xiao had the exact same thoughts as the others, so he wanted to join the battle. No need. Li Yuan took in a deep breath as he stopped Li Xiao. Only he who had experienced it for himself knew the true reason why he was at a disadvantage. If he had circulated his defensive martial skill in time, he wouldn't have been forced back by his own strength. I have to say, your defensive martial skill is really bizarre, but everything is over now. Li Yuan sneered. Unfettered steps. His legs' movement sped up and stepped in a peculiar manner, spinning around Duan Ling Tian's body. He seemed like he was trying to distort Duan Ling Tian's line of sight. Li Yuan's unfettered steps is a middle-grade profound rank martial skill. Although it's only at the initial stage, it's comparable to a low-grade profound rank martial skill at the mastery stage. If Duan Ling Tian's speed is inferior to his, then he will certainly lose. A voice abruptly sounded from within the crowd. This voice received the acknowledgement of most of the people present. Of the martial skills under the heavens, only speed was unbeatable. Li Yuan being able to cultivate 3 types of martial skills to such high stages indeed placed him at the top of his peers, as there were hardly any peers of his capable of such a feat. In the outer court, there were only 2 people who were comparable to Li Yuan. Duan Ling Tian's offensive martial skill was strong, and his defensive martial skill was not bad either. It was this reason that in most of the people present's view, Duan Ling Tian's movement technique should be his weak point. Want to compare in speed with me? Duan Ling Tian laughed. His pupils abruptly constricted and his legs shook. Spirit Serpent movement technique. This high-grade profound rank martial skill at the initial stage, comparable to a middle-grade profound rank martial skill at the mastery stage, exceeded Li Yuan's movement technique by an entire stage. Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian's figure moved like an agile spirit serpent, spinning around Li Yuan in reverse. No matter how Li Yuan's palm strikes whistled through the wind, they were unable to touch him in the slightest. The surrounding crowd was struck dumb. This Duan Ling Tian, this speed, was simply monstrous. Li Xiao. Li Yuan's expression was extremely ugly. Although unwilling, he still chose to request help from Li Xiao. The whole crowd drew in a breath of cold air. Li Xiao responded with a sound. Then his figure moved, flying into the battleground. Working together with Li Yuan, they attacked from both sides, causing Duan Ling Tian to have nowhere to dodge. Howling Tiger Fist. Li Xiao seemed to have transformed into a fierce tiger, pouncing towards Duan Ling Tian as he opened his bloody mouth to bite him. Unexpectedly, Duan Ling Tian didn't have any intention of dodging. Greater teleportation. Duan Ling Tian circulated his defensive martial skill, his body emitting a defensive chi barrier. Bang! Li Xiao's violently approaching fist strike struck onto Duan Ling Tian's defensive chi barrier. The crowd was extremely silent. Just when everyone thought Duan Ling Tian would be blasted away, an unbelievable scene unfolded before them. They saw the originally violently approaching and sneering Li Xiao's expression freeze on his face. The hand which struck out started to shake. Ah! Accompanied by a shrill cry, Li Xiao's body was blasted away like an arrow leaving the bowstring, fiercely plunging to the ground. Slumping on the ground, Li Xiao's face was pale white, and his gaze towards Duan Ling Tian was filled with dread. He didn't expect the entire force of the fist he struck Duan Ling Tian with to be reversed back upon him as if he had hit a mirror. Extremely depressing. If not for his timely circulation of his defensive martial skill, his entire arm might have been crippled. This scene shocked everyone present. Li Xiao's Howling Tiger Fist was a middle-grade profound rank martial skill that had been cultivated to the initial stage. Duan Ling Tian could fully bear Li Xiao's Howling Tiger Fist just by using his defensive martial skill, showing that his defense martial was in no way inferior to Li Xiao's Howling Tiger Fist. At the very least, it was similar to Li Yuan's initial stage Golden Bell cover. Only an initial stage and above middle-grade profound rank martial skill would be capable of blocking an attack from a middle-grade profound rank offensive martial skill. In other words, Duan Ling Tian's defensive martial skill was either a middle-grade profound rank martial skill at the initial stage or a low-grade profound rank martial skill at the mastery stage. However, no one considered Duan Ling Tian's defensive martial skill to be a high-grade profound rank martial skill. After all, a high-grade profound rank martial skill was extremely rare even in the Aurora City Li clan. Brother Li Yuan, I'm sorry, Li Xiao laughed bitterly as he looked towards Li Yuan. In the beginning, he thought that only Duanling Tian's offensive martial skills were more formidable than his. But only now did he realize that his attack was completely incapable of breaking Duanling Tian's defense. Humph! Li Yuan's expression turned grim. His icy gold gaze swept past Duanling Tian, just like a blood-thirsty poisonous snake's gaze. Only after Li Yuan and Li Xiao fled in shame did the crowd's gaze fall onto Duanling Tian. Their gazes were filled with reverence. At the age of only 16, he had the middle-grade profound rank offensive martial skill, Howling Tiger Fist, at the mastery stage, as well as what was possibly a middle-grade profound rank defensive martial skill at the initial stage, or maybe low-grade profound rank defense martial skill at the mastery stage, and also what might be a middle-grade profound rank movement technique at the mastery stage, or maybe low-grade profound rank movement technique at the perfection stage. In the outer court, such accomplishments could perhaps only be compared to the outer court's top-ranked disciple. Even Li Shi was quite inferior to him. Based on Duanling Tian's current strength, he's completely surpassed Big Sister Shi and Li Yuan. In the outer court at present, his strength is probably only inferior to Li Kuang's. I feel like he can compete with Li Kuang. You all shouldn't forget that Duanling Tian's strongest offensive martial skill isn't Howling Tiger Fist, but his sword skill, which has attained perfection. Yeah, with his sword skill combined with the assistance of a good long sword, I estimate that his strength won't be inferior to Li Kuang's. The crowd's discussion was generous with admiration. Hearing these praises, Duanling Tian smiled indifferently. This kind of scene was something he had experienced many times in previous life, so he had long ago become accustomed to it. As for the Li Kuang they spoke about, Duanling Tian had heard about him, the top-ranked disciple in the outer court. But unfortunately, Duanling Tian hasn't had the chance to meet him. He heard that Li Kuang went to the Misty Forest to gain experience, and that he would only return to the clan right before the martial meet begins. Just when Duanling Tian was about to go home, an anxious voice that was getting closer to him called out, Duanling Tian, is something the matter? Duanling Tian looked at the panting youth. Duanling Tian, Big Sister Shi, taught two Lin clan outer court disciples a lesson. As a result, they called others over, and now a group of people have surrounded them and blocked them in. Big Sister Shi sent me back to deliver the news, the youth anxiously said. What? Duanling Tian's face instantly became grim. What he was worried the most about was Ku'er's safety. Show me the way. Duanling Tian's stern gaze stared fixedly on the youth. The youth felt a chill run down his spine. Not daring to look Duanling Tian in the eye anymore, he hurriedly walked in front and led the way. The surrounding outer court disciples cast a gaze at each other before following them. The Lin clan members actually dare to bully Big Sister Shi? They are virtually courting death. Let's go and teach them a lesson. Do they really think our Li clan outer court disciples are so easy to offend? The outer court disciples that followed behind Duanling Tian were filled with righteous indignation. Hurry up! Duanling Tian frowned, then he grabbed hold of the youth's arm and brought him along as he flew forward, creating some distance between them and the crowd. Point the way. The crowd of outer court disciples behind could only hear Duanling Tian's loud shout from far away. Come on, we need to hurry up, don't lose them. The crowd of Li clan disciples each executed their movement techniques, flying out to follow up. But even then, they could only eat Duanling Tian's dust. It was also because Duanling Tian was bringing along another person. Or else it would be impossible for them to even follow Duanling Tian's figure with their speed. After leaving the Li clan estate, Duanling Tian saw the two girls being blocked in a large street in the trade market. When he saw Ku'er safely standing there, Duanling Tian heaved a sigh of relief. Li Shi, as long as you and the little beauty beside you accompany us for some drinks, we'll forget about today's matter. How about it? A coquettish voice entered Duanling Tian's ears from afar. Duanling Tian's expression turned grim. Li Shi's delicately shouted, Lin Wei, you're dreaming. Then I'm sorry. The few of us will be forced to ruthlessly destroy some flowers. The coquettish voice sounded again, this time with a trace of coldness. K off. Duanling Tian extended his hand, grabbed a Lin clan outer court disciple's shoulder, and pulled him backwards as he walked in large strides into the blockade. Kid, you're courting death. The Lin clan outer court disciple's face distorted as he walked forward and attacked with a fist strike. Bang! As a result, his first struck the defensive chi barrier on the surface of Duanling Tian's body, so the ruthless fist strike's force reversed back to him. Ah! He went flying backwards while emitting a shrill cry, plunging to the ground in a sorry state. The commotion over here could not be considered small, so it had attracted the attention of everyone. Young master, Duanling Tian. When Ku-er and Li Shishir noticed Duanling Tian, their beautiful faces emitted expressions of delight, as if the lover they had been waiting for had finally arrived. Ku-er, are you okay, right? Duanling Tian walked to the side of the young girl, his expression filled with concern. Young master, I'm all right. The young girl lightly shook her head. Big sister Shishir was here to take care of me. Thank you. Duanling Tian nodded and smiled to Li Shishir. What are you thanking me for? I brought Ku-er out, so I naturally have to take responsibility until the end. Li Shishir's clear eyes flickered as she lightly shook her head. She sighed in her heart. Could it be that in his eyes, I'm really not even slightly comparable to little sister Ku-er? Kid, you dare to injure our Lin clan members? Today, I, Lin Wei, will teach you a lesson. From behind the youth of was the Lin family's leader, a youth of around 17 years old flew out. His violently approaching palm was aimed at Duanling Tian's chest. The expressions of the two girls beside Duanling Tian distorted. They wanted to make a move to save him. Duanling Tian walked out in large strides, using his chest to meet the attack head-on. Greater teleportation. Defensive martial skill circulating. Bang! The youth's palm struck Duanling Tian's chest. Duanling Tian didn't budge an inch. Ah! The youth emitted a shrill cry as he was blasted away. His body was in a sorry state. He swayed a bit before being finally able to stand firmly. The pain that he felt coming from his arm caused cold sweat to flow out of him. When he once again looked at Duanling Tian, his gaze was filled with terror. Clap, 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 clap. Just at this moment, the Lin family's green-clothed youth in the lead started clapping. If I'm not guessing wrong, your defensive martial skill is a high-grade profound rank martial skill, right? The green-clothed youth glanced deeply at Duanling Tian. High-grade profound rank martial skill? No matter whether it was the Lin clan outer court disciples or the Li clan outer court disciples that had just arrived, all of them were struck dumb. Although the Lin clan and the Li clan both had high-grade profound rank martial skills, a clan's high-grade profound rank martial skills were only allowed to be cultivated by the genius martial artists that the clan was focusing on. Everyone looked at Duanling Tian with surprised gazes. Ku-er, let's go home. Duanling Tian grabbed the girl's hand with a gentle expression and walked towards the outside of the enclosure. He walked through the enclosure as if he had entered a place where there was no one, or no one could resist him. Whoosh! The green-clothed youth's figure moved as if it had transformed into a gust of wind, blocking Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian's expression turned grim. You beat up my Lin clan members and plan to leave just like this? The green-clothed youth had a carefree expression. His gaze, however, emitted a hint of playfulness. Duanling Tian's gaze turned cold and his voice sounded like thunder. K off. If your Li clan members want to leave now, that is not a problem, but you have to fight with me? This is the precondition. In the past, I thought that the Li clan outer court disciples only had Li Kuang who was worthy of fighting me. But only today did I find out that there was someone like you. The green-clothed youth's face was filled with confidence. It was as if everything was under his control. So arrogant. Duanling Tian's eyes narrowed as a cold light flashed within them. Duanling Tian, he's Lin Qi, the Lin clan outer court's top disciple and the son of the Lin clan's patriarch, Li Shishir warned. Lin clan outer court's top disciple? Lin clan patriarch's son? No matter which title he used, It was enough to cause this green-clothed youth to seem dazzling. The Lin clan, similar to the Li clan, were both colossi of Aurora City. Have you finished considering? After a battle between the two of us, no matter who wins or who loses, I'll allow your Li clan members to leave. Lin Shi lightly smiled as if he didn't feel the least bit angry about what Duan Ling Tian did earlier. Just for the chance to battle Duan Ling Tian. The injured Lin Wei's expression turned grim as he unwillingly said, "Brother Qi, Li Shi and her injured our people, you?" "Shut up." Lin Qi coldly glanced at Lin Wei, interrupting Lin Wei. "Are you questioning my decision?" Lin Qi's voice contained an undoubtable prestige. Although he was young, he had developed the bearing of someone in a high position. Lin Wei took a deep breath, not daring to open his mouth again, but his icy cold eyes still stared fixedly on Duan Ling Tian, waiting for a chance to swallow him up. Duan Ling Tian noticed Lin Wei's gaze, but paid no attention to it. Lin Wei's strength was only on par with Li Zhao's, and as such posed no threat to him. His gaze fell on Lin Qi. "If you want to fight, then I'll give you one." Duan Ling Tian smiled to Ku'er and asked her to go wait beside Li Shi before walking out in large strides to confront Lin Qi. The Lin clan outer court disciples all moved back a few steps, emptying out a large space. This was, after all, Aurora City's biggest trade market, so roadside spectators quickly gathered around. "I heard that the green-clothed youth is the Lin clan's patriarch's son, Lin Qi." "Lin Qi? I've heard of him," the top-ranked Lin clan disciple amongst the juniors. At the age of only 17, his cultivation is already at the 9th level of the body-tempering stage, and he has even cultivated 3 high-grade profound rank martial skills. 3 high-grade profound rank martial skills? Damn, the Lin clan really expended a lot of resources on him. Who's the one confronting him? I think it's a Li clan disciple with another surname. The surrounding crowd discussed in low voices. Duan Ling Tian stared fixedly at Lin Qi with a serious expression. Facing Lin Qi caused him to feel a strand of pressure. Even when he faced the Fresh Breeze Town's Fong family manager, an existence at the first level of the core formation stage, he didn't feel even a trace of pressure. In other words, Lin Qi was more dangerous than Fong Chong. Thinking, though, it would make it easily understandable. Families like the 3 families of Fresh Breeze Town only had high-grade yellow rank martial skills as their best martial skills. As for movement techniques, before Duan Ling Tian gifted the Li family a movement technique, not one of the 3 families of Fresh Breeze Town had one. Defensive martial skills, on the hand, were something that were too far away for the 3 families to consider. Duan Ling Tian found out through Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories that although martial skills were divided into 4 ranks, namely Heaven, Earth, Profound, and Yellow rank martial skills only encompassed offensive martial skills. No movement techniques or defensive martial skills were at the Yellow rank. On Cloud Continent, the lowest ranked movement technique and defensive martial skills were at least Profound rank. Whoosh! As if previously agreed upon, Duan Ling Tian and Lin Qi moved at the same time. Spirit Serpent movement technique. Duan Ling Tian's figure was graceful. Every movement he made was filled with a sense of supple beauty. His speed was so fast that the most of the people in the surrounding crowd couldn't help but gasp in admiration. Lin Qi's legs were like afterimages. Even if they flew past a snowfield, there probably wouldn't be any traces left behind. Traceless snow steps. A high-grade profound rank martial skill. Where did this Duan Ling Tian come from? Since when did the Li clan have such an incredible person? His movement technique speed is actually not one bit inferior to Brother Qi's traceless snow steps. Brother Qi's traceless snow steps is a high-grade profound rank martial skill that has been cultivated to the initial stage, comparable to a middle-grade profound rank movement technique at the mastery stage, or a low-grade profound rank movement technique at the perfection stage. Unbelievable! Besides the Li clan's Li Kuang and the Xiao clan's Xiao Yun, there is actually someone of the same generation that could compete with Brother Qi in movement techniques. Humph! This Duan Ling Tian is only at the 8th level of the body tempering stage. Didn't you all realize that Brother Qi hasn't even exerted his full strength, but instead suppressed his strength at the 8th level of the body tempering stage to play with him? If you didn't say it, I wouldn't have noticed. Brother Chi's current attacks aren't drawing upon the energy of heavens and earth to develop into an ancient mammoth silhouette. The crowd of Lin clan outer disciples had complacent expressions. It was as if the person who was flying crisscross with Duan Ling Tian and had similar speeds was not Lin Chi but themselves. Duan Ling Tian, receive my palm strike. Lin Chi abruptly shouted loudly. Whoosh! The sound of a gust of wind pierced out coldly. Lin Chi's right hand abruptly slapped out. All that could be seen with the naked eye was a string of palm afterimages, enveloping towards Duan Ling Tian. More than 10 palm afterimages descending at the same time made it extremely hard to identify the real strike. If judged wrongly, it would undoubtedly mean walking into danger. It's the high-grade profound rank offensive martial skill, overlapping afterimages, the famous martial skill of the Lin clan. Supposedly, the overlapping afterimages allows the creation of 99 afterimages when cultivated to the perfection stage. As expected of the Lin clan's young genius, Lin Chi, being able to cultivate overlapping afterimages to the initial stage at the mere age of 17. The surrounding crowd didn't lack people who had their own unique views. So this is a high-grade profound rank offensive martial skill. Duan Ling Tian's heart twitched. Through Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories, he had quite the understanding of high-grade profound rank offensive martial skills. A high-grade profound rank martial skill compared to a middle-grade profound rank martial skill was a qualitative change. Not only was the might of the skill increased by a level, it even stressed upon using a certain method to confuse the enemy before executing a swift and hard strike. Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. Relying on the experience he gained from the battlefields in his previous life, he seemed to be able to see through the more than 10 afterimages, pinpointing the palm strike which contained a trace of killing intent. Collapsing fist. Duan Ling Tian drew his arms back before swinging out his right fist. His fist was aimed at one of the afterimages. Bang! The palm and fist strikes collided. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian and Lin Chi's bodies trembled, and Duan Ling Tian stepped 3 steps back whereas Lin Chi took 5 steps back. The surrounding spectators were stupefied. Lin Chi, who had suppressed his strength to the 8th level of the body tempering stage, was actually forced into a disadvantageous position. Your strength is actually stronger than an ordinary level 8th body tempering martial artist by so much. Lin Chi gazed at Duan Ling Tian with an astonished expression. Duan Ling Tian smiled indifferently. Because he cultivated in the 9 Dragons War sovereign technique, on every occasion that his cultivation broke through, his strength would always be slightly stronger than someone of the same cultivation level. Just like now, an ordinary 8th level body tempering martial artist would have the strength of 5,000 pounds. But he, on the other hand, had a strength of 7,000 pounds. Haha, satisfying. My view of you is not wrong. Besides Li Kuang and Xiao Yun, you're the first in the same generation of disciples of Aurora City capable of seeing through my true palm strike. Lin Chi laughed loudly with a delighted expression. Once more. Lin Chi's body shook as he flew out once more. Traceless snow steps. This time, he and Duan Ling Tian didn't purposely attack each other head-on, but instead flew out as they searched for their opponent's weak spots in order to defeat the opponent. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Collapsing Fist. Duan Ling Tian's entire body seemed to have transformed into a spirit serpent, flying forward as he found the best chance to blast a fist strike on Lin Chi's body. Even though the might of Collapsing Fist was unable to suppress Lin Chi's overlapping afterimages in a head-on collision, in terms of combat experience, it would be impossible for Lin Chi to be on the same level as Duan Ling Tian. As the strongest weapons specialist on Earth in his previous life, in terms of combat experience, Lin Chi was obviously not on the same level as him. Bang! His fist descended, blasting on the defensive chi barrier that rose to the surface of Lin Chi's body. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian felt his right fist shake as if he had pounded his fist on a turtle's shell, and he was exposed to the force of the shock that was deflected back. Greater teleportation. Without any hesitation, Duan Ling Tian circulated his defensive martial skill, doing unto another what another does unto you. He reversed as much of the deflected force as possible back to Lin Chi. The deflected shock force was, after all, originally from Lin Chi's defensive chi barrier, so Lin Chi's defensive chi barrier didn't reject it. Lin Chi's body trembled when the deflected shock force reached him. As if being struck by lightning, he retreated to the side in a slightly sorry manner. What defensive martial skills are you using? Lin Chi looked at Duan Ling Tian as if he had seen a ghost. Although he was shocked by Duan Ling Tian's combat experience, what astonished him the most was Duan Ling Tian's defensive martial skill. It was actually able to return most of the force that his profound turtle form had deflected to Duan Ling Tian. That deflected shock force originated from his defensive chi barrier, and as such his defensive chi barrier wouldn't react to reject it. So the force that was returned to him by Duan Ling Tian caused him so suffer quite a loss. Duan Ling Tian's defensive martial skill had thoroughly countered his defensive martial skill. Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed and he slowly said, "Use your full strength. You don't have to continue suppressing your strength. If you continue as it is, you will undoubtedly lose." "Fine, as you wish. I really didn't expect that in the same generation of Aurora City's three great clans, there would be someone besides Li Kuang and Xiao Yun capable of forcing me to exert my full strength. Be careful. Once I exert my full strength, I will have the strength of an ancient mammoth. Compared to your current strength, it will be stronger by 3,000 pounds. Lin Chi frankly laughed. He naturally knew that what Duan Ling Tian said was true. Considering Duan Ling Tian's rich combat experience and the defensive martial skill that had countered his, it was more than enough to defeat him when his strength was suppressed to be on the same level as Duan Ling Tian's. Instantly, the muscles on Lin Chi's body started to bulge up. Above his head, the energy of heaven and earth shook as an ancient mammoth silhouette became indistinctly visible. This Duan Ling Tian is really abnormal. He is able to force Lin Chi to use his full strength even though he's only at the 8th level of the body tempering stage. After today's battle, Duan Ling Tian will still obtain honor even in loss. Yeah, just now brother Lin Chi was in a disadvantageous position when his strength was suppressed to the same level as Duan Ling Tian's. It's easily imaginable how if one day he breaks through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage, Lin Chi probably won't be his match. The Lin clan outer court disciples looked at Duan Ling Tian with dazed expressions. On the other hand, the Li clan outer court disciples had radiant expressions. Duan Ling Tian really brought honor to their Li clan. From today onwards, besides Li Kuang, the Li clan outer court would have Duan Ling Tian. As Li Shi gazed at Duan Ling Tian, her clear eyes had an extremely complicated expression. The young girl beside her, however, seemed to not be shocked in the slightest. As far as she was concerned, her young master would forever be the best, incomparable to anyone. Duan Ling Tian, be careful. Once I exert my full strength, no matter whether it is strength or speed, it will all undergo a massive increase. After giving Duan Ling Tian a reminder, Lin Chi made his move. Traceless snow steps. Lin Chi's speed was at least 30% faster than before. Overlapping afterimages. More than 10 palm afterimages abruptly descended, enveloping towards Duan Ling Tian. Lin Chi at full strength had a speed that completely surpassed Duan Ling Tian's, and the might of his overlapping images also surpassed Duan Ling Tian's collapsing fist, causing Duan Ling Tian's defensive martial skill, greater teleportation, to have difficulties in blocking the attack. Even if Duan Ling Tian's had an even richer combat experience and greater teleportation was even more miraculous, he would still end up in a disadvantageous position after a few moves. If the martial skills were considered as the software, then the strength of the user was the hardware. If the hardware was inferior, then even better software would be burdened by it. The difference between strength is too great. Duan Ling Tian is about to lose. Noticing Duan Ling Tian passively defending and repeatedly being forced back, the Lin clan outer court disciples had smiles on their faces. Duan Ling Tian will still obtain honor even if he loses. The Li clan outer court disciples, however, didn't get dejected. After all, Duan Ling Tian's cultivation was laid out there, being lower than Lin Chi's by a level. If Duan Ling Tian was also at the 9th level of the body tempering stage, in their opinions, Lin Shi would definitely not be a match for Duan Ling Tian. In terms of age, Duan Ling Tian was also younger than Lin Shi by a year. He had limitless potential. Just when everyone other than Ku Er thought that Duan Ling Tian would be defeated by Lin Shi, they heard a voice. Lin Shi, be careful. Duan Ling Tian's voice abruptly sounded. Whoosh. Subsequently, a violet sword shine flashed by before disappearing instantaneously. It forced Lin Shi to swiftly stop. He looked at Duan Ling Tian with an expression of dread. Did Duan Ling Tian use a sword just now? I think so. But he doesn't have a sword on hand right now. Where did he hide it? Not one of the Li clan and Lin clan outer court disciples were able to see how Duan Ling Tian had struck with his sword, or where he hid his sword. If they hadn't seen the sword shine, they might have even thought they were seeing things. Lin Shi, I'm going to counterattack. Duan Ling Tian's gaze slightly focused, and then he moved. Spirit Serpent movement technique. His figure moved, flying straight towards Lin Shi. Whoosh! The violet sword shine appeared once again, flashing by before vanishing instantaneously as Lin Shi quickly retreated. I admit defeat, Lin Shi said, in a slightly panicked voice. Besides Li Shir and Ku Er, the other people present were all struck dumb. Lin Shi admitted defeat? What's going on? Brother Qi, why did you admit defeat? You obviously had the upper hand. Lin Wei looked at Lin Shi with a puzzled expression. If Duan Ling Tian wasn't using a sword, I could have defeated him, but once he brings a sword out, I'm not a match for him, Lin Shi replied in a very straightforward and simple manner. Duan Ling Tian, the speed at which you executed that sword skill is at a level that is difficult for me to reach. Unless I undergo an overall breakthrough, I can't even defend against a single sword strike from you. Lin Shi sighed as he glanced at Duan Ling Tian with a complicated expression. Duan Ling Tian's marvelous sword skill caused admiration within his heart. Acknowledged. Duan Ling Tian nodded, slightly increasing his view of Lin Shi. This was a person who could accept defeat. A person like this would surely be extraordinary in the future. Lin Shi's eyes flickered brightly as he proclaimed confidently, but there will eventually be a day where I will defeat your sword skill. I'll be waiting. Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled. I keep my promises. You can leave with your Li clan members now. Lin Shi's eyebrows twitched. Farewell. Duan Ling Tian nodded towards Lin Shi before bringing along Ku Er and the crowd of Li clan outer court disciples to leave the trade market together, walking towards the Li clan estate. The surrounding crowd slowly dispersed as well. In their hearts, they remembered a single name, Duan Ling Tian. The Li clan had an outer court disciple whose strength was similar to or even surpassed Li Kuang's. Brother Qi, you haven't replied to me. Why did you admit defeat without reason? Lin Wei frowned as he asked with a manner showing he wouldn't give up until he got to the bottom of things. The other Lin clan outer court disciples also looked towards Lin Shi. They had the same question. See for yourselves. Lin Shi shook his head. He then raised his head to display his throat to everyone. This? The Lin clan outer court disciples were all dumbstruck. They could clearly see that there was a light white sword mark on Lin Shi's throat. If it wasn't for him showing mercy today, I would already be dead. Lin Shi sighed. Lin Wei's eyes flickered as he ruthlessly said, Brother Qi, how dare that Duan Ling Tian, a merely clan disciple with another surname, use such a killing move against you? If it was up to me, we could get our Lin clan's inner court disciples to treat him a lesson. Lin Shi's expression turned grim as he said, in a stern voice, Lin Wei, I'm warning you. From today onwards, Duan Ling Tian is my opponent, and I will take care of this matter myself. Don't try to be smart. Yes. This was the first time Lin Wei had seen Lin Shi get so angry, so he hurriedly nodded and replied his acknowledgement. But, when he lowered his head, his eyes still flickered with a trace of unwillingness and ruthlessness. Duan Ling Tian and the crowd on their way home. Duan Ling Tian, why did Lin Shi abruptly admit defeat? Yeah, I didn't notice him suffering any losses, so why would he abruptly admit defeat? Duan Ling Tian, is there an inside story we don't know about? The Li clan outer court disciples all gazed at Duan Ling Tian with puzzled expressions. What inside story could there possibly be? You all just didn't see it clearly. Stop talking nonsense. Li Shi's willow-shaped eyebrows frowned. Big sister Shi, could it be that you know the reason? Instantly, all of the Li clan outer court disciples shifted their gazes to Li Shi. Only after looking at Duan Ling Tian and noticing that he didn't have any dissatisfaction did Li Shi explain. Didn't all of you notice that there was a light white sword mark on Lin Qi's throat? Duan Ling Tian showed mercy on that sword strike, only piercing through the skin of his throat. If it was slightly deeper, he would undoubtedly be dead. For a moment, all of the Li clan outer court disciples were stupefied. Never would they have thought that Duan Ling Tian was so formidable, slicing the throat with a single sword strike. Although some of them had once seen Duan Ling Tian execute his sword skill, that sword strike that sliced more than 10 falling leaves, they didn't think that Duan Ling Tian's sword skill would be so terrifying when used in actual combat. Only Duan Ling Tian knew that the only reason his attack went so smoothly was because he attacked unexpectedly. The sword-drawing arts that he executed had a might not inferior to a high-grade profound rank martial skill at the perfection stage when attacking unexpectedly. The crowd dispersed after arriving back at the Li clan estate. Duan Ling Tian and Ku greeted Li Shi before returning home. I wonder if he would be willing to teach the sword-drawing arts to me. Li Shi had always been focused on sword skills and had even cultivated her low-grade profound rank martial skill, Shadow Sword, to the perfection stage. As a branch family disciple, if she wanted to advance in her sword skills, she had to wait until she was an inner court disciple to choose a middle-grade profound rank skill from the second floor of the Martial Repository Pavilion. During their time together, she heard from Ku that the sword-drawing arts might was comparable to a middle-grade profound rank sword skill. If attacking unexpectedly, its might was even comparable to a high-grade profound rank sword skill. When they got home, Duan Ling Tian went to lie on his bed with his body spread open. Cultivating his movement technique and subsequently getting into an intense battle with Lin Qi today caused him to feel slightly exhausted. The young girl sat on the side of the bed, gently helping him massage his legs. Delightful. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help to release a breath of foul air. Duan Ling Tian noticed the young girl's hesitation to speak, so he asked, while smiling, "Ku is something the matter? What? You can't be still thinking of yourself as an outsider, right?" "Young master, big sister Shi hoped I would ask you if you were willing to teach her the sword-drawing arts," the young girl said with slight hesitation. "That's a nice idea of hers. Don't tell me the reason why she started calling you sister was so that I would teach her the sword-drawing arts?" Duan Ling Tian's eyes flickered. "Young master, big sister Shi isn't that type of person." The young girl lightly shook her head. "Then, Ku are you hoping I teach the sword-drawing arts to her?" Duan Ling Tian asked while smiling. "Ku will listen to the young master's decision." The young girl lightly smiled, her delicate face blushing slightly. Duan Ling Tian thought silently for a moment before slowly saying, "Her low-grade profound rank sword skill has already been cultivated to the perfection stage, so I can't blame her for wanting to cultivate a better sword skill. Since she's good to my Ku and took care of her, I'll pass down a different sword skill to her. As for the sword-drawing arts, I would never pass it out of the family." The young girl blinked her clear eyes as she curiously asked, "Young master, what sword skill are you going to pass down to big sister Shi?" "Synchronous Shadow Sword." This sword skill was a high-grade profound rank sword skill. It was one of the complete sword skills that Duan Ling Tian had found inside the memories of Rebirth Martial Emperor. It had a similar but slightly different effect from the overlapping afterimages that Lin Qi executed earlier, and its might was not a bit inferior to it. Originally, Duan Ling Tian was prepared to teach a middle-grade profound rank sword skill to Li Shi. But after a quick thought, he decided otherwise. Another 1.5 months from now would be the yearly clan martial meet. Based on Li Shi's current strength, becoming an inner court disciple was a piece of cake. Becoming an inner court disciple would allow her access to the Martial Repository Pavilion's second level to choose a middle-grade profound rank martial skill. It would be unnecessary of him to give her a middle-grade profound rank sword skill. A few days later, Duan Ling Tian wrote down the synchronous shadow sword and asked Ku Er to go get Li Shir. Synchronous shadow sword, a high-grade profound rank sword skill? After looking through the handwritten book Duan Ling Tian had written for her, her clear pupils constricted and she had an excited expression. Due to some reasons, I'm unable to teach you the sword drawing arts, so I'll give you this sword skill instead. But I have a condition. As he spoke up to hear, Duan Ling Tian stared fixedly at Li Shir. What condition? At this moment, Li Shir felt as if Duan Ling Tian's burning gaze was tearing her clothes apart, so her voice started to slightly tremble. You can't tell anyone that it was I who gave you this sword skill. Remember, that means anyone. Duan Ling Tian told her his condition. Of course. Li Shir hurriedly nodded as she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. So it was just this condition. She even thought that. Duan Ling Tian nodded to Li Shir as he indifferently said, "You can go now." Li Shir grit her teeth and thanked him again before leaving. After leaving, Li Shir felt a sense of loss in her heart. She even doubted if her charm was turned to nothingness when in front of Duan Ling Tian. Since becoming familiar with Duan Ling Tian, he had not once looked at her properly. His gentleness was always only for the young girl beside him. Sometimes, even she didn't know if she was feeling admiration or envy. From an unknown time, or maybe since the time when he executed the sword drawing arts for the first time, this man's shadow had appeared in her heart. Lying on his bed and looking at the ceiling, Duan Ling Tian laughed for no reason. Being the amorous weapons specialist who always went into a bush of flowers but came out without a single leaf on him, he naturally was able to notice the little feelings Li Shir harbored towards him. Li Shir was different from Ku Er after all. In Ku Er's entire world, there was only him. But Li Shir had her own dreams to pursue. Even if she had feelings for him, it was just a pure, young maiden's romance. Just like a law of nature. An outstanding male would always be able to attract a female with ease. Of course, this didn't mean that Duan Ling Tian had to stubbornly be faithful to only a single wife. If he met someone who truly loved him and was willing to give up everything for him, and he liked the girl as well, he wouldn't let it easily slip past him. Based on Duan Ling Tian's past estimations, 5 pounds of 50-year-old bloodlingji concocted into bloodlingji body refinement liquid would be able to supply himself and Ku Er for 2 months. But now his mother was using it as well, and as the three of them didn't intentionally restrict their usage, the speed at which the bloodlingji body refinement liquid was expended increased significantly. After a month's time, the 5 pounds of bloodlingji was completely expended. Of course, the expenditure without reservation did provide great returns. Besides his defensive martial skill, greater teleportation, being cultivated to the initial stage, Ku Er and his mother both cultivated their defensive martial skill, stealth substitution, to the initial stage as well. When any one of the three of them circulated their defensive martial skill, people of the same cultivation level who executed high-grade profound rank martial skills at the initial stage, middle-grade profound rank martial skills at the mastery stage, or even low-grade profound rank martial skill at the perfection stage would be unable to do any harm to them. Of course, the precondition to this was that the opponent didn't use any weapon to execute their martial skills. If the opponent used a weapon, then it would be an entirely different story. He once again made a trip to the trade market to buy another 8 pounds of bloodlingji. Duan Ling Tian's remaining silver was almost fully spent, leaving behind only a few thousand. He originally had 130,000 silver, which he obtained in the Fresh Breeze Townsley family. The money was considered payment for his Thunder Flame Pill medicinal formula and the middle-grade profound rank movement technique, Swift Wind Steps. After purchasing bloodlingji twice, he almost finished spending all his silver. I haven't even broken through to the core formation stage yet, but I'm almost out of silver. It's time I find a way to earn some money. After returning home and concocting the 8 pounds of bloodlingji into bloodlingji body refinement liquid with the help of Ku Er, Duan Ling Tian started pondering. Any random medicinal formula inside Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories had extraordinary value. They would easily able to be sold for a high price. But he wasn't willing to do this. A relatively common medicinal formula wouldn't sell for much. Whereas a medicinal formula that was nearly extinct in Cloud Continent, Even if it sold for a high price, the large amount of wealth would surely incur unwanted attention. His current strength wasn't enough to handle such attention. He was self-aware. I have to do this. After thinking for a while, Duanling Tian finally made a decision. In the Aurora City trade market, there were many medicine stores that sold medicinal liquids, but there were only a few stores that sold medicinal pills. After all, only graded alchemists were able to refine medicinal pills. Medicinal liquid, on the other hand, only required a medicinal formula, so anyone was capable of concocting some. Duanling Tian brought Ku Er along to the medicine store where he bought the bloodlingji from. "Respected customer, do you need anything?" The manager enthusiastically greeted, his face glowing. As far as he was concerned, the youth before him was a huge customer, sweeping away 13 pounds of his 50-year-old bloodlingji in a short month's time. After removing his capital for obtaining his wares, the silver he earned from this youth was at least 20,000 silver. "Manager, this time I'm not here to buy medicinal materials, but I want to put some medicinal liquid for sale here." Duanling Tian proclaimed his reason for coming. He planned to take out some of his completed 6 treasures body tempering liquid to sell. Although the 6 treasures body tempering liquid was inferior to the 7 treasures body tempering liquid Duanling Tian used, and the medicinal effect of the 6 treasures body tempering liquid was only 10% of a body tempering pill, the important thing was that the 6 treasures body tempering liquid was much easier to absorb compared to the body tempering pill. An ordinary body tempering stage martial artist, even with the help of a thunder flame pill, would require 10 days to absorb one body tempering pill's medicinal strength. But one portion of 6 treasures body tempering liquid, if with the help of a thunder flame pill, would only require half a day to be fully absorbed. In other words, compared to consuming a body tempering pill, using the 6 treasures body tempering liquid to assist in cultivation would allow a body tempering stage martial artist cultivation to increase by an entire 100%. Customer, you're not joking, right? After hearing the medicinal effects of the 6 treasures body tempering liquid, the manager was stupefied. To him, this was truly unbelievable. If it was really as the customer before him said, then wouldn't the 6 treasures body tempering liquid be able to fully take over the market of the body tempering pill? "Manager, if you aren't interested, I can look for another store." Duanling Tian lightly smiled, with an expression that seemed like he was saying, "I won't force you." The manager hesitated for a moment, then he looked at the Li clan crest on Duanling Tian's clothes before finally gritting his teeth. "Customer, I'll take 10 portions from you to sell first, and we'll see how it goes. How about it?" "Of course." Duanling Tian nodded, passing over 10 portions of 6 treasures body tempering liquid to the manager. "Customer, how much should each portion be sold for?" The manager inquired. "A body tempering pill is 100 silver, correct?" "Manager, sell these 10 portions of 6 treasures body tempering liquid for 110 silver each. You'll get 10 silver for each sale. How about it?" The manager's pupils constricted. After all, a portion of the 6 treasures body tempering liquid only had a medicinal effect of 1/10 of what a body tempering pill had. Even Ko-Er was shocked. She knew that the cost of the medicinal materials needed to concoct the 6 treasures body tempering liquid. A portion of the 6 treasures body tempering liquid required medicinal materials cost not even a silver coin. This was extremely profitable. "Manager, when you sell the 6 treasures body tempering liquid for me, I only have one request. Don't let anyone know that it was I who entrusted them to you to be sold." After glancing deeply at the manager for a moment, Duanling Tian and Ku-Er left. 10 portions of 6 treasures body tempering liquid's medicinal effect was only comparable to one body tempering pill, but it requires 1,100 silver. A similar medicinal effect as a body tempering pill, but the cost is a whole 11 times of a body tempering pill. Looking at the youth and young girl from afar, the manager had a complicated expression. After leaving the medicine store, Duanling Tian and Ku-Er didn't return to the Li clan estate. They instead went to buy 2 horses and ventured out of Aurora City. Their destination, Misty Forest. Exiting from the North City Gate, the youth's and the young girl's horses galloped forward. On the way, the young girl inquired curiously, "Young master, you set such a high price for the 6 treasures body tempering liquid. Will anyone actually buy it? Ku-air, let me ask you. If you had 10,000 silver, would you buy yourself a body-tempering pill or some 6 treasures body-tempering liquid? Duan Ling Tian didn't directly answer the young girl, but instead replied with a question. 6 treasures body-tempering liquid. The young girl replied instantly without a need to ponder. Although the price for the 6 treasures body-tempering liquid was 10 times that of a body-tempering pill, the absorption of the medicinal effect had a speed that was double that of the body-tempering pill. Using the 6 treasures body-tempering liquid to assist in cultivation would provide double the increase in speed as compared to a body-tempering pill. The young girl finally understood. But there was still a question in her heart. Young master, you set such a high price for the 6 treasures body-tempering liquid. I'm afraid not many people could afford to use it, right? The young girl inquired. I know. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Huh. The young girl was even more puzzled. Ku-air, think about it. If I set the price of the 6 treasures body-tempering liquid beneath the price of a body-tempering pill, would there be anyone who would buy body-tempering pills? At that time, not to mention it would affect the market of the body-tempering pills, it would initiate a series of adverse effects. Even I don't have the time to concoct that much 6 treasures body-tempering liquid, so I'm only entering the high-end market. As for the people who are unwilling to buy the 6 treasures body-tempering liquid, they can continue to buy the body-tempering pills, Duan Ling Tian explained. Young master is so intelligent. The young girl felt enlightened. Ku-air, once we enter the misty forest, no matter what happens, do not leave my line of sight, Duan Ling Tian said, with a serious expression. Yes. The young girl hurriedly nodded. Their horses galloped forward. 3 hours later, Duan Ling Tian was finally able to see the misty forest. The Misty Forest is a primeval forest north of Aurora City, situated in the middle of 3 cities which included Aurora City. There would normally be many martial artists from the 3 cities who would enter deep into this primeval forest, hunting wild animals and ferocious beasts. The outer area of the Misty Forest is occupied by some fierce wild animals. Once the inner area is reached, only then can fierce beasts be encountered. Fierce beasts are unlike wild animals. Because of certain reasons, they transform into demons and undergo variation, so their strength is extremely terrifying. The weaker fierce beasts are comparable to a core formation martial artist, whereas the stronger fierce beasts are even comparable to an origin core martial artist. A body-tempering stage martial artist is only able to go around the outer area and hunt some wild animals. Duan Ling Tian had 2 objectives for coming to the Misty Forest. The first, earn money. The second, to temper Ku-air. In the Misty Forest, some of the stronger wild animals have fur and some body parts that are worth quite a high price. For example, hunting an adult rhinoceros. The rhinoceros' thick skin and hide can be sold to weapon stores to be forged into a type of defensive armor. The rhinoceros penis, on the other hand, is a tonic for men, able to be sold to medicine stores. The 2 combined would be worth more than 300 silver. Moreover, an adult rhinoceros wasn't even the wild animal that was the fiercest or had the most value in the entire Misty Forest. The type of wild animals Duan Ling Tian was aiming for were wild animals like tigers, leopards, jackals, and wolves, the wild animals that stood at the top of the food chain. Only by hunting these types of wild animals would he be able to earn large amounts of silver while allowing Ku-air to get the tempering and training she needed. Although Ku-air was at the 8th level of the body tempering stage and had sparred with Duan Ling Tian on many occasions, she has never experienced a battle where life and death were on the line. As far as Duan Ling Tian was concerned, if a martial artist wanted to become formidable, he or she had to experience the test of fire and blood. Just like the weapons specialists of his previous life. He knew quite a few weapons specialists during his previous life, and each one of those weapons specialists had been through battlefields and mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Maybe their strength was inferior to the current Ku-air's, but in a life and death battle with her, the one that dies would definitely not be them. To Duan Ling Tian, on this world, besides his mother, Ku-air was the closest person to him. He hoped that Ku-air would have the strength to protect herself. He wouldn't be able to always be by her side. After helping the horses settle down outside of the Misty Forest, Duanling Tian brought the young girl along as he entered the misty forest. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Duanling Tian took the lead. Profound rippling steps. The young girl followed behind. After a month's cultivation, the young girl successfully cultivated her movement technique to the rudiment stage, and only a short distance away from the initial stage. Duanling Tian and the young girl quickly encountered some prey. Adult wild wolves. A total of 10. An adult wild wolf strength was comparable to a martial artist at the 6th level of the body tempering stage. Of course, the most terrifying part of its body was its jagged teeth. If a 6th level body tempering martial artist were to be accidentally bitten in the neck, no matter how strong the defensive martial skill was, there would only be a slim chance of survival. Ku'er, I'll go in from the front and take care of the 7 wolves there. While I attract their attention, you attack from behind and take care of the 3 in the back. Smiling to the young girl, Duanling Tian flew out. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. He directly crossed over to arrive near the wild wolves, attracting the attention of the 10 wild wolves. The young girl, whose delicate figure was slightly trembling, took a deep breath and grit her teeth as she suppressed the fear in her heart, flying out as she made her way to the back of the 10 wolves. Sword Drawing Arts. Duanling Tian started his attack. Whoosh! The violet sword shine flashed before instantly disappearing. Poochie! A wild wolf howled before dropping to the ground as a pillar of blood sprayed out from it. The smell of blood caused the remaining 9 wolves' eyes to become crimson red, growling as they rushed towards Duanling Tian. The 6 wild wolves that were at the front bared their fangs as they pounced towards Duanling Tian. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Duanling Tian's body was as flexible as a spirit serpent. His legs stepped swiftly as he skillfully dodged the wild wolves' pouncing strikes, seeming as if he was playing around with them. Each time his violet meteorite flexible sword swept out, it took with it a wild wolf's life. After a short moment, the wild wolves that pounced towards him had all died. On the other side, the young girl finally mustered up enough courage, holding back the 3 wolves in the back. Sword Drawing Arts. Whoosh! A violet sword shine appeared. Instantly, one of the wolves that pounced towards her had its throat sliced open, and warm wolf blood sprayed all over her face. The nose-piercing smell of blood caused the young girl's stomach to churn. Be careful. Noticing the other 2 wild wolves pouncing towards the young girl while she was filled with terror and unable to move, Duanling Tian moved. Whoosh! The 2 wild wolves were killed with merely a single sword strike. The young girl could not bear it any longer, vomiting out her breakfast as her face became pale. Suddenly, as if noticing something, Duanling Tian's expression turned grim. Run! Without hesitation, Duanling Tian pulled the young girl into his arms before flying up a nearby tree. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. He coiled up the tree like a spirit serpent until he arrived at the tree's top. Howl! Howl! At this moment, near the corpses of the 10 wild wolves were another few packs of wolves, and their amount was still increasing. The howls of the wolves were filled with rage. Looking at the surroundings filled with wolf packs, Duanling Tian started feeling anxious. Holding the young girl tight in his arms, he jumped over to another tree. Using the trees as a road, he moved forward. Suddenly, an eagle's cry sounded and was approaching. Duanling Tian abruptly raised his head, vaguely able to see a black figure swooping down from above. Its target was him and Ku'er. Not good. Duanling Tian's expression turned grim. Ku'er, are you feeling better? Subsequently, he looked towards the young girl in his embrace. The young girl lightly nodded. Then stand here and don't move. Putting the young girl down, Duanling Tian's gaze turned slightly cold. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Using the tree's trunk as the ground, he used it to assist himself to fly upwards to meet the black figure that was swooping down. The eagle's cry was getting closer by the moment. The black eagle had wings like the clouds, its eyes emitting a swift and fierce gaze as it swooped down towards Duanling Tian. Under the burning sun, its pair of claws seemed to flicker with a sharp sheen. Die! Duan Ling Tian's heart was quiet like water with a cold gaze that stared fixedly at the eagle's claws. Sword drawing arts. Whoosh. Violet meteorite flexible sword swept out without restraint. The ear-piercing eagle cry sounded, mixed with a trace of shrillness. Damn, its speed is so fast. Duan Ling Tian had an astonished expression as the violet meteorite flexible sword that he swept towards the eagle only sliced off one of its claws. Whoosh! The eagle went berserk with rage, flapping its wings as it moved to attack once more. Even when Duan Ling Tian sent the violet meteorite flexible sword piercing into its chest before it died, it still spared no effort to slap its right wing towards Duan Ling Tian's chest, creating an ear-piercing wind howl. Greater teleportation. Without hesitation, Duan Ling Tian circulated his defensive martial skill. Bang! The huge wing slapped onto Duan Ling Tian's chest. Duan Ling Tian's body trembled and his throat tasted something sweet. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood. Although greater teleportation blocked most of the force and even used the power of teleportation to throw the eagle's body far away, Duan Ling Tian's internal organs were still slightly injured from the shock. The strength of this eagle was in no way inferior to mine, nearly comparable to a martial artist at the 9th level of the body tempering stage. Duan Ling Tian felt shocked. "Young master, you're okay, right?" The young girl had finally recovered slightly. She stepped on the tree trunks and flew over, arriving at Duan Ling Tian's side. "Young master, you're injured." When she noticed the trace of blood on the corner of Duan Ling Tian's mouth, the young girl's expression turned grim. "It's all right, it's only a slight injury." Duan Ling Tian shook his head. His heart slightly twitched as he thought this. A human martial artist required the increase of the stage of cultivation of a martial skill in order to be able to better utilize their strength. But animals like the eagle that were birds of prey at the top of the food chain, living in nature's survival of the fittest, they long since tempered themselves to gain methods to fully utilize their strength. Tearing a tiger or leopard alive, catching a python by force, it was all possible. The method in which the eagle attacked Duan Ling Tian earlier, in terms of might, was comparable to a mastery stage high-grade profound rank offensive martial skill executed by a martial artist at the 8th level of the body tempering stage. Luckily, Duan Ling Tian was able to kill it in time, causing it to not have enough strength to continue the attack. Or else Duan Ling Tian would have surely been heavily injured. "Young master, it's all because Ku-Er is useless." The young girl's eyes dripped with tears. "What are you talking about? My Ku-Er is very brave, killing a wolf on her first attack. Take it slow, you can't rush it." Duan Ling Tian comforted her. The young girl lightly nodded, her clear eyes emitting a firm expression. Consuming a grade 9 gold injury pill, Duan Ling Tian brought Ku-Er along as they continued to move forward slowly on the ground. When he left the Fresh Breeze Townley family, Grand Elder Li Hua gave Duan Ling Tian quite a few grade 9 gold injury pills. Subsequently, throughout their journey, Duan Ling Tian noticed that the young girl seemed to have completed a metamorphosis in a short while. Even when killing tigers or leopards, her expression would only slightly change, no more vomiting out of disgust like before. The young girl's staunchness caused Duan Ling Tian to feel gratified, but at the same time he felt his heart ache. "Young master, there's a lot of fog over there." The young girl looked to the front. The forest a few hundred meters away was enveloped in a white fog, as if wearing a mysterious mask. This was exactly the reason how Misty Forest got its name. That should be the inner area of Misty Forest, the area where fierce beasts roam. "Ku-Er, we're more or less finished today, so let's go home and come back tomorrow." Duan Ling Tian and the young girl brought their spoils as they walked back on the same path as before. When they passed the place where the wolves were killed, they noticed that the wolf corpses had vanished, only leaving behind dried wolf blood, probably taken care of by the wolf packs. Riding their horses back, the setting sun was going down when the couple finally arrived back at Aurora City. After taking care of their spoils in Aurora City, trading them for 300 plus silver, the couple returned to the Li clan estate. Just when the Li clan main door was in front of their eyes, a stern shout sounded from behind them. "Duan Ling Tian! Duanling Tian stopped his footsteps. He recognized the owner of the voice. Li Xiao. He didn't expect Li Xiao to still dare to come and make trouble for him. Slowly turning around, Duanling Tian saw Li Xiao standing not far away. Beside him was another youth around the age of 18. The youth's appearance seemed slightly similar to Li Xiao's. Brother, he is Duanling Tian. You must help me teach him a lesson, Li Xiao said to the youth beside him. After hearing what he said, Duanling Tian's gaze flickered as he guessed who the youth was. He had once heard Li Shishir talk about him. Li Xiao had a brother who became an inner court disciple in the clan martial meet 1 year ago. Li Zhong, currently 18 years old, stepped into the core formation stage 3 months ago. Calling you trash was indeed not wrong. Now you can't even defeat a little kid. Don't you feel ashamed? Li Zhong didn't give a shred of face to his own little brother. Li Xiao could only embarrassedly smile. So it was you who beat up my little brother? Li Zhong looked coldly at Duanling Tian in a condescending manner. Whatever he said. Duanling Tian shrugged his shoulders. Although Li Xiao is trash, he is still my, Li Zhong's, little brother. You beating him caused me to lose face as well. Don't you think you should give me an explanation? Li Zhong sneered. In his heart, however, he was slightly shocked. He heard from his little brother that even Li Yuan was not a match for this youth. This youth was only 16. A 16-year-old 8th level body tempering stage main clan disciple wasn't something the Li clan lacked. But there were none that could defeat Li Yuan. If I didn't guess wrong, as an 18-year-old inner court disciple, you will participate in the clan martial meet half a month from now. If you want to help your little brother and teach me a lesson, you don't have to be so anxious. Duanling Tian's eyes narrowed as he said indifferently. The Li clan's martial meet was the stage for the younger generation. Li clan disciples at the ages of 16 through 18, no matter whether they were inner or outer court disciples, would all be allowed to participate. Brother, don't listen to him. He's purposely delaying, Li Xiao hurriedly said. Duanling Tian was straightforward, staring at Li Zhong as he slowly said, You're right, I'm delaying. I admit I'm not a match for you now, but in half a month, who loses to who is still unknown. Interesting, truly interesting. If you weigh at the 8th level of the body tempering stage, in half a month you will be able to break through to the 9th level at most. I really want to see what you will rely upon to fight me half a month from now. Li Zhong's eyes narrowed into a line, disdainfully laughing as he turned around and left. Brother. Li Xiao was anxious. Noticing Duanling Tian's cold gaze sweeping over, Li Xiao's expression was slightly fearful. He hurriedly caught up to Li Zhong and left. This Li Zhong is exactly as Li Shishir said, obsessed with martial arts. Duanling Tian lightly smiled. Young master, how do you know? The young girl beside him asked. Maiku Air's appearance is like a flower's, but he actually didn't even take an extra glance. If he isn't obsessed with martial arts, then what is he? Duanling Tian laughed loudly. Young master, you're teasing me again. The young girl instantly blushed. Okay, let's go home. We can't let mom wait too long. During the time that Duanling Tian and Ku Air returned home, in the Aurora City trade market, the 3 great clans clan martial meet is about to begin, and the body tempering pills have all been swept clean. So unlucky. Muttering to himself, a youth of around 16 and in embroidered clothing walked into the medicine store under the watch of his 2 middle-aged bodyguards. Young Master Xiao. Noticing the person who arrived, the manager's face was full of smiles. There were 3 colossi in Aurora City, respectively being the Li clan, the Lin clan, and the Xiao clan. He instantly recognized this person. It was indeed the Xiao clan's patriarch's youngest son. Manager, give me 3 sets of the medicinal materials to refine body tempering pills, the youth in embroidered clothing said to the manager. The manager lightly smiled as he asked, Young Master Xiao, I have a new batch of medicinal liquid here. Its effects are the same as body tempering pills, but its ability to increase the speed of cultivation is double compared to the body tempering pill. Are you interested? That night, after eating his fill, Duanling Tian returned to his room. After pouring in 7 treasures body tempering liquid into the bath barrel, he took off his clothes, sat inside the barrel, and closed his eye as he started to cultivate. 9 dragons wore sovereign technique, spirit serpent form, greedily absorbing the medicinal strength of the 7 treasures body tempering liquid. Duanling Tian could clearly feel the lifeblood in his body slowly growing stronger as his body underwent a metamorphosis. When he finished absorbing the 7 treasures body tempering liquid, Duanling Tian opened his eyes. What's going on? I still haven't broke through. Duanling Tian frowned. His face had a puzzled expression. For the past half-month's time, on every occasion that he absorbed the 7 treasure body tempering technique, he was clearly able to feel the changes in his body as it underwent metamorphosis. But every time he felt he would soon break through, he would be unable to. Could it be that it has something to do with the spirit serpent form's mental cultivation method? Duanling Tian curiously searched through the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor. He quickly found an answer. F***K. Duanling Tian couldn't help himself from spitting out a vulgarity. It turned out to be that the madman Rebirth Martial Emperor had added an extra something in his self-created 9 dragons war sovereign techniques spirit serpent form. According to his theory, when the spirit serpent form is cultivated to the 9th level of body tempering stage, a strength of 3 ancient mammoths would be achieved by just relying on the fleshly body. The strength of 3 ancient mammoths is 30,000 pounds. Duanling Tian was currently at the 8th level of the body tempering stage and had a strength of 7,000 pounds, 2,000 pounds above the strength of an average martial artist at the 8th level of the body tempering stage. But at the 9th level of the body tempering stage, he would be able to possess a strength of 30,000 pounds. An ordinary martial artist at the 9th level of the body tempering stage only had the strength of 10,000 pounds. In other words, when he breaks through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage, he will be 3 times stronger than an average 9th level body tempering martial artist. The strength of 3 ancient mammoths. An ordinary martial artist would only be able to possess this sort of strength by relying on the fleshly body and origin energy when they reach the 2nd level of the core formation stage. No wonder I was unable to break through. It was actually the exceptional ability in the 9 dragons war sovereign techniques spirit serpent form. It was because of the spirit serpent form that the 7 treasures body tempering liquid was constantly activating the potential in my body, creating a foundation for me to successfully possess the strength of 3 ancient mammoths when I break through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage. Duanling Tian laughed bitterly. How long will I have to endure until the tides turn? The next day at dawn, when he exited his room, Duanling Tian noticed that his mother had prepared a sumptuous breakfast. Mom, what's the happy occasion? Duanling Tian was slightly shocked. Tian, looks like you really are going to have to let Ku-air protect you. Ku-air broke through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage last night. Li Ro blinked her clear eyes as she teased him. Really? Duanling Tian was startled. Young master. Ku-air slowly walked out of her room. The slim and graceful young girl seemed to have added on some charm after a night's time. Ku-air, looks like you'll have to protect me from now on. Duanling Tian smiled tenderly. Ku-air's breakthrough was something Duanling Tian expected. With the assistance of the 7 treasures body tempering liquid and the thunder flame pill, and Ku-air's natural talent, it wasn't strange for her to break through. After all, the Frost God's sword technique was not as abnormal as the 9 dragons war sovereign technique. After having their breakfast, Duanling Tian notified his mother before bringing Ku-air along as he left the Li clan estate. This time, he planned to spend a few nights in the misty forest with Ku-air. To get proper tempering, if I had noticed the unusualness of the 9 dragons war sovereign technique's spirit serpent form earlier, I wouldn't have promised to battle Li Zhong half a month from now in the clan martial meet. On the way to the misty forest, Duanling Tian laughed bitterly in his heart. He originally thought that he would surely break through before the clan martial meet. At that time, he thought that after breaking through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage, he would possess around 15,000 pounds of strength, comparable to the strength of 1.5 ancient mammoths. Compared to Li Zhong, who was at the 1st level of the core formation stage, he would only be weaker by a few thousand pounds. If he attacked unexpectedly while relying on the sword drawing arts, he had a good chance of defeating Li Zhong. But now, the ninth level of the body tempering stage was far, far away. If he wanted to let his fleshly body possess the strength of 3 ancient mammoths, even with the assistance of the 7 treasures body tempering liquid, it would at least require half a year to be successfully accumulated. It's really like how they say, don't act like you're great, or you'll be struck by lightning. 1. Duanling Tian muttered to himself. Young master, what's this about getting struck by lightning? The young girl looked over curiously. No, nothing. Duanling Tian smiled embarrassedly. Entering the misty forest this time wasn't the same as before. Everything seemed to progress easily from experience. After a journey of hunting wild animals, Ku'er and Duanling Tian finally arrived near the inner area of the misty forest when the sun was setting. The wild animals around this area were quite ferocious. If not for Ku'er breaking through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage, Duanling Tian wouldn't be daring enough to bring Ku'er this deep into the misty forest. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Sword Drawing Arts. Duanling Tian was like a spirit serpent, and his violet meteorite flexible sword was like the tongue of a poisonous serpent. Every time it swept out, it would take the life of a wild animal with it. Profound rippling steps. Compared to the bizarreness of Duanling Tian's movement technique, Ku'er's figure seemed much more graceful. That night in the misty forest, Duanling Tian and Ku'er slept out in the open. As a former exceptional weapons specialist, sleeping out in the open was as normal as eating to Duanling Tian. But it was different for Ku'er. She was restless until late at night when she finally fell asleep while listening to Duanling Tian's stories. Sitting on the tree trunk, looking at the young girl soundly sleeping, the corners of Duanling Tian's curled up into a light smile. Maybe a life like this wasn't too bad. Dawn of the second day. Some noise entered Duanling Tian's ears. 7 people, 5 men and 2 women, were approaching from afar. These people were young, only at the ages of 17 or 18. When they noticed Duanling Tian and Ku'er, they were slightly shocked as they didn't expect there to be people younger than them that dared to pass the night in the misty forest. Moreover, they were only 2 people. The 5 youths' gazes fell upon Ku'er, emitting a slight burning gaze. When the 2 young girls looked at Ku'er, their eyes emitted a sense of envy. When the 7 of them arrived near Duanling Tian, a tall youth asked, "Should we get them to help us?" "Are you crazy? Wouldn't 2 more people mean we have to share 2 more portions? It's only a black python. It will be easy to kill it with the 7 of us working together," a short youth said as he frowned. "Yeah, if you're scared, you don't have to come. The 6 of us can share it," the young girl who was dressed in revealing clothing and had a face covered in makeup said. The tall youth went silent. The 7 of them passed by Duanling Tian and Ku'er, walking towards a different area. Black python? Duanling Tian's pupils constricted. Searching through Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories. Black python, a fierce beast that evolved from a wild animal. Its strength is comparable to a core formation martial artist. Allegedly, the nest of the black python has treasures that are formed from the spirit chi of heaven and earth. There would be rare medicinal materials, or rare ores, or maybe even spirit fruits. Ku'er, let's follow them and see what happens. On the spur of the moment, Duanling Tian took Ku'er and followed the 7 people from afar. The 7 people quickly entered the inner area of the misty forest. The inner area of the misty forest was covered in fog all year round, turning the entire forest into a maze of fog. As they entered the inner area of the misty forest, the figures of the 7 people slowly became indistinct. T. I lost them. After a moment, Duanling Tian frowned. Bang! Just at this moment, a loud bang sounded nearby on the left. Duanling Tian and Ku'er silently went towards the sound. What they saw was a huge, multicolored tiger fighting with the 7 people from before on an empty field. The multicolored tiger had an enormous body, greatly exceeding that of an ordinary wild tiger, and its strength was at the first level of the core formation stage, extremely ferocious. 4 of them are at the 9th level of the body tempering stage. No wonder they dared to hunt the black python. Looking at the ancient mammoth silhouettes above 3 of the youth and 1 of the young girls, Duan Ling Tian's hearts twitched. Finally, by paying the price of one of their 9th level of the body tempering members being injured, the 7 of them eventually killed the huge, multicolored tiger. After collecting the valuable fur and other parts of the multicolored tiger, the 7 of them continued forward. Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er followed from afar. Finally, in front of a remote cave, the 7 of them stopped. The black python is inside? Duan Ling Tian brought Ku Er and hid on a nearby tree, watching from afar. Duan Ling Tian quickly saw one of the 7 throw a stone into the cave. Instantly, an enormous figure flew out from inside. It was exactly an enormous python with an entirely pitch-black body. The black python was over 10 meters long, with a pair of icy cold and piercing eyes, its tongue moving like lightning. "Let's do it." Immediately, the figures of the 7 of them moved, flying straight towards the black python and attacking with full force. Whoosh! The black python moved as well, as if transforming into a flash of black lightning. Its tail swung out and blasted a youth away. The youth dropped to the ground and fainted. Abruptly, the tall youth shouted, "Not good. This black python isn't simply at the first level of the core formation stage." The young girl with heavy makeup looked towards the sword-wielding youth as she shouted in a delicate voice, "Wang Dong, pierce its weak spot." "You guys, hold him for a moment," the sword-wielding youth shouted in a low voice as he started to look for an opportunity. But the speed of the black python was not something they could compare to. Another youth's head was quickly bit off by the black python's bloody mouth. The entire scene seemed incredibly bloody. Looking at this scene, Duan Ling Tian's expression didn't change. But Ku Er beside him had a dreadfully pale expression, and her delicate figure trembled. "Young master, should we help them?" Ku Er's eyes emitted a trace of pity. "If we go help them, they might not even be willing, or maybe they would even think we wanted a share of the spoils." Duan Ling Tian shook his head. After a moment, with the help of the remaining 5 people who fought desperately, the sword-wielding youth eventually found an opportunity and pierced the weak point of the black python. But it seemed to be slightly off target. Bang! The black python went completely berserk. The remaining 5 were either bitten to death or sent flying by the python's tail. Until the last person lied there lifeless. Only then did the black python's enormous body finally drop heavily on the ground, its eyes emitting a sense of sorrow. Whoosh! Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er dropped to the ground, reaping the rewards at the earlier 7's expense. 2. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian noticed the black python raise its head and gaze at him. Its piercing eyes were actually emitting a begging expression. Huh! Duan Ling Tian was stupefied. The black python suddenly raised its head and turned to look at the cave behind it. It shook its head as if it were begging for something. Only when he entered the cave did Duan Ling Tian understand what the black python was begging him to do. Inside the cave, besides 3 spirit fruits hanging on 2 bizarre plants, were 2 slightly cracked snake eggs that would hatch at any moment. Out of the 3 spirit fruits, 2 were the same, whereas the other larger spirit fruit was slightly different. This is a dark spirit fruit. The memories of Rebirth Martial Emperor flashed inside his mind. Looking at the slightly large crimson-red spirit fruit, Duan Ling Tian's heart trembled and his face turned completely red. Dark spirit fruit, even in the 2 lifetimes of Rebirth Martial Emperor, he had heard of it but had never seen one. That just shows how exceedingly rare the dark spirit fruit is. If the dark spirit fruit is consumed by an ordinary person, it will allot the person to instantly complete his body tempering, allowing them to step into the 9th level of the body tempering stage within 3 months. It was indeed heaven-defying. Because of the uniqueness of the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Technique's Spirit Serpent form, I still haven't been able to break through. Maybe this will be a turning point for me. Drawing in a deep breath, Duan Ling Tian slowly suppressed the excitement in his heart. He didn't expect his luck would be so good. This pleasant surprise was really too huge. As for the other 2 dark violet spirit fruits, they were extremely rare spirit fruits as well. Violet, thorned fruit. A type of extremely poisonous spirit fruit. If consumed by a human, it would cause instant death. but if consumed by a poisonous, fierce beast, it would be a tonic to it. Young master, let's keep them. Unknowingly, the young girl had already taken the 2 fist-sized python eggs in her hand. She was looking at Duan Ling Tian with anticipation. Since their mother is dead, let's take them both home. Duan Ling Tian nodded. The violet thorn fruits were obviously ripe. The reason the black python still hadn't consumed it was probably because it was keeping it for its 2 offspring. After plucking the violet thorn fruits and the dark spirit fruit, Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er left the cave. Ku Er's gaze never left the 2 python eggs in her hands. Her clear eyes were filled with motherly brilliance. Ku Er, wait for me over there. Duan Ling Tian walked to the front of a passed-out youth. His sensitive senses felt the suppressed killing intent emitted from the youth. A killing intent directed towards him. Stop acting. Your breathing sold you out, Duan Ling Tian said in a low voice, and in the instant that the youth's eyes emitted a terrified expression, his violet meteorite flexible sword had already silently pierced the youth's heart. At the beginning, Duan Ling Tian didn't expect he would bump into such a matter. So he and Ku Er didn't change their clothes, which had the Li clan's crest. Now, only with the death of this youth could he avoid any troubles in the future. As a former weapons specialist, Duan Ling Tian deeply knew the maliciousness of a person's heart. There was also the fact that the youth showed killing intent towards him. After taking a circle around, Duan Ling Tian noticed that 4 out of the 7 had been killed by the black python. Adding on the one he just killed, there were still 2 more alive. 2 extremely faint killing intents were indistinctly felt. They were obviously awake, but pretended to be passed out. In the silence of the surroundings, Duan Ling Tian's ears slightly moved as he clearly heard their rapid and nervous breathing. Another 2 sword strikes went directly into their hearts. After finishing off the other 2, Duan Ling Tian collected the more valuable spoils they had. He then glanced at the black python's corpse before giving up on the thought of cutting it up. Then Duan Ling Tian slowly walked towards Ku Er. Half an hour later, the body of the short and stout youth, who was supposed to have been pierced in the heart by Duan Ling Tian, trembled. He struggled to open his eyes. Then he removed a medicinal pill from his pocket with much difficulty and swallowed it. After a short amount of time, the blood flowing out of the short and stout youth's chest finally stopped. Li clan, member of Aurora City's Li clan, you probably never would have imagined that my heart was naturally inclined sideways. The short and stout youth struggled to sit up, his expression extremely grim. Because his heart was inclined sideways, he was able to keep his life. Suddenly, as if he had noticed something, the short and stout youth's expression changed into an expression of terror as he hurriedly fled. After he fled, an enormous figure moved 1,000 meters in an instant and abruptly descended, all while emitting a bizarre roar filled with rage. Aurora City, Shao Clan Estate. In a vast and luxurious courtyard, the youth in the embroidered clothing walked out. His expression seemed anxious. That 6 treasures body tempering liquid is virtually godly. Based on my current cultivation level, consuming body tempering pills would require at least around 5 days of consumption to achieve a breakthrough, but undergoing medicinal baths in that 6 treasures body tempering liquid will merely require 2 days of absorption before I can break through. The youth dressed in embroidered clothing brought along his 2 bodyguards as he left the Shao clan and arrived at the trade market. Manager, give me another 100 portions of 6 treasures body tempering liquid. The youth dressed in embroidered clothing entered the medicine store and directly proclaimed his needs. When the medicine store manager noticed the youth in embroidered clothing rushing over, he thought that the 6 treasures body tempering liquid was useless and the youth had come to sully the reputation of his store. But he never would have imagined that the youth would say this. 100 portions? The manager's heart trembled. Young Master Shao, I'm afraid it would be impossible today. I still haven't replenished my stock. How about 2 days from now? The manager laughed bitterly. I really wonder what you were thinking. Such an excellent medicinal liquid, and you didn't replenish extra stock. This is 5,000 silver as deposit. I'll come by to get it in 2 days. The youth in embroidered clothing frowned. Then he put down 5,000 silver before leaving in large strides. 2 days. The manager had a distressed expression. He was only casually mentioning the time earlier, and he was completely unaware when the Li clan youth would return. Now he felt a bit of regret. If he had known earlier, he would have gotten more six treasures body tempering liquid from the youth. Manager, what happened? Why the distressed face? Just at this moment, a voice sounded. The manager's gaze instantly shone brilliantly, as if he found his savior. He quickly went to greet the person. The person who arrived was indeed Duanling Tian. After leaving the Black Python's nest, he and Ku Air returned to Aurora City. They first went and took care of the spoils of their trip, exchanging it for 3,000 silver. Afterwards, out of a whim, he wanted to know how the sales of the six treasures body tempering liquid was going, so he came to medicine store. Manager, you? Duanling Tian looked at the slightly discomposed manager with a puzzled expression. Customer, the six treasures body tempering liquid you put for sale in my store has been sold. The manager took out 1,000 silver and passed it Duanling Tian in a slightly agitated manner. Duanling Tian lightly smiled as he asked, "Then, manager, do you need more stock now?" Yes. I want as much as you can give me," the manager hurriedly said, seemingly extremely afraid Duanling Tian would cut off his supply. "Do you have an unused room here?" Duanling Tian asked the manager. "We do, customer." "You need it?" The manager was dazed. "Yes, I plan to concoct the medicinal liquid here from now on." Duanling Tian nodded. The manager's pupils constricted as he asked in amazement, "Customer, you concocted the six treasures body tempering liquid? It's only a medicinal liquid. Is there any reason to get so excited over it?" Duanling Tian smiled indifferently. The corners of the manager's mouth twitched. He wondered if the youth in front of him had said that on purpose. A medicinal liquid that could thoroughly triumph over the body tempering pill. Was that an ordinary medicinal liquid? "Since I'm already here today, go prepare some medicinal materials for me. I'll concoct some for you now." According to Duanling Tian's request, the manager quickly finished preparing everything. Looking at the pile of cheap medicinal materials in front of him, and then looking at the large crock in the room, the corners of the manager's mouth started to tremble. According to these proportions, the cost of manufacturing the six treasures body tempering liquid was almost negligible. If this large crock was filled to the brim, it would at least produce around 2,000 portions of six treasures body tempering liquid, right? When Duanling Tian and Ku Air were about to prepare the medicinal materials, the manager suppressed the agitation in his heart as he self-consciously left the enclosed room and closed the door behind him. With the assistance of Ku Air, Duanling Tian finally finished concocting the large crock full of six treasures body tempering liquid in an hour. He then walked out of the room and returning to the medicine store. "Manager, I'll trouble you to divide the six treasures body tempering liquids into portions." Duanling Tian lightly smiled at the manager. The manager entered the small room for a moment before exiting once more with a glowing face. "Respected customer, that large crock of six treasures body tempering liquid would at least be 2,000 portions. How about I pay you the silver for 2,000 portions now, and we will sort out the difference later?" the manager asked. "Okay, as for the cost of the consumed medicinal materials, just deduct it from the extra portions." Duanling Tian nodded as he received the silver bills from the manager. 200,000 silver in bills felt heavy when held it. "No need. Those medicinal materials don't even cost 1,000 silver combined. Just take it as a gift from me." The manager was very perceptive in the way he dealt with the situation. If it was in the past and someone had told the manager that medicinal materials that weren't even worth 1,000 silver could be concocted into medicinal liquid worth 220,000 silver, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Now that the facts were laid out right before his eyes, he had to believe it. "Manager, since you're so frank, I'll take it. How about this? You can suitably increase the price of the six treasures body tempering liquid. My bottom line is 80% for me and 20 for you." Duanling Tian glanced deeply at the manager. "Thank you, customer." The manager took a deep breath. He knew that since the youth relented, he would naturally be able to change the price of the six treasures body tempering liquid. "Oh yeah, before the end of our Li clan martial meet, I won't come here again. So you better not sell off all the 6 treasures body tempering liquid in a few days. Precious items are more valuable. Manager, you're an intelligent person. After saying one last thing to the manager, and under the manager's shocked gaze, Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er returned to the Li clan estate. Young master, I didn't think silver was so easy to earn. Ku Er's face was slightly red because she was mildly excited. Haha, Ku Er, not everyone has this sort of ability to earn money like your young master. Duan Ling Tian laughed loudly. In the entire Cloud continent, it would probably be only him and the Li family's grandelder who knew how to concoct the 6 treasures body tempering liquid, whereas only he knew how to concoct the 7 treasures body tempering liquid. After returning home and greeting his mother, Duan Ling Tian hastily returned to his room and consumed the dark spirit fruit. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian felt a warm and boundless medicinal strength filling his entire body. His lifeblood was strengthening by leaps and bounds, and his fleshly body was undergoing a metamorphosis at full speed. In the courtyard, Ku Er, what type of egg is this? Looking at the 2 python eggs Ku Er placed on the table, Li Ro curiously asked. Madam, these are black python eggs. Ku Er smiled. Black python? Li Ro's pupils constricted. She of course knew of the bloodthirsty fierce beast, black python. Ku Er, what happened? Li Ro asked. Ku Er obediently told her about what happened on her trip with Duan Ling Tian. So it would seem that the 2 of you benefited greatly simply by waiting for it to fall into your laps. Li Ro laughed. Madam, the young master didn't make a move to save them. Isn't that not nice? Puckering her pink, small mouth, Ku Er blinked her clear eyes as she looked at Li Ro. Although Ku Er didn't say anything in front of Duan Ling Tian, in her heart, she found it slightly difficult to feel at ease. In her pure and simple world, she felt that they should have helped those youths and young girls hunt and kill the black python. Ku Er, I don't think Tian did anything wrong in this matter. Not to mention that the black python might have injured you. Even if you really had helped them kill the black python, they might have joined hands to deal with you and Tian for the sake of obtaining the treasures that the black python guarded. Li Ro guided patiently and gently. She had experienced much more than Ku Er and thus knew of the maliciousness of a person's heart. For the sake of treasures, relatives killing each other could be found everywhere, let alone strangers. Ku Er didn't think so much about it at that time. Ku Er will listen to the young master in the future. Ku Er lightly nodded as she slowly felt at ease. From this moment on, Ku Er would never doubt any of Duan Ling Tian's decisions in the future. In her world, Duan Ling Tian was the heavens. He was everything. At the crack of dawn, the sun rose in the eastern sky. Duan Ling Tian was already sitting cross-legged on his bed early in the morning, continuing to cultivate and assimilate the medicinal strength of the dark spirit fruit. Since consuming the dark spirit fruit 2 days ago, Duan Ling Tian had only assimilated 20% of the dark spirit fruit's medicinal strength. Nevertheless, Duan Ling Tian could still feel his lifeblood and fleshly body undergoing a metamorphosis. This feeling was extremely vivid. Duan Ling Tian walked out of his room as he thought in his heart, I hope I'll be able to smoothly break through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage before the clan martial meet. Tian, I heard that the clan martial meet's registration starts today and continues for 3 days. Take Ku Er and go register after you've finished eating, Li Ro said to Duan Ling Tian as they had their breakfast. Okay. After finishing their breakfast, Duan Ling Tian brought Ku Er along as he left. The young girl blinked her clear eyes as she slowly said, Young master, I heard from big sister Sure that disciples who advance to the top few ranks will get quite the prizes during the clan's yearly martial meet. Oh, did she say what prizes? Duan Ling Tian felt slightly curious. Big sister Sure said that last year's champion, an inner court disciple, obtained a 300-year-old bloodlingji. Young master, a 300-year-old bloodlingji should be much more precious than a 50-year-old bloodlingji, right? She inquired. 300-year-old bloodlingji? Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. Ku Er, I'll put it this way, 50 grams of 50-year-old bloodlingji is worth a 1,000 silver, 50 grams of a 300-year-old blood Lingji would be worth at least 10,000 silver, and even at this price, there probably isn't any in the market. Through the memories of Rebirth Martial Emperor, Duan Ling Tian knew the value of a 300-year-old blood Lingji. The blood Lingji in the medicine stores were ordinarily around the 50-year-old mark, and a 100-year-old blood Lingji was rare. A 300-year-old blood Lingji would be worth at least 10,000 for just 50 grams, comparable to 10 pounds of 50-year-old blood Lingji. A 300-year-old blood Lingji would at least weigh 100 grams and be worth over 20,000 silver. If a 300-year-old blood Lingji was directly crushed and consumed, a mere 50 grams would be comparable to 5 pounds of 50-year-old blood Lingji in terms of medicinal effects. However, the medicinal strength of 5 pounds of 50-year-old blood Lingji would require an ordinary person to spend an entire year to assimilate, whereas a 300-year-old blood Lingji was different. Its medicinal strength could be fully assimilated in at most 1 month's time. If the former is compared to a tractor, then the latter would be a rocket. So expensive? The young girl's cherry lips slightly opened, obviously out of shock. If the prize this time is a 300-year-old blood Lingji as well? Duan Ling Tian's heart twitched and his eyes emitted a burning gaze. If it was so, he was determined to obtain it. If he had a 300-year-old blood Lingji, he would be able to concoct even better medicinal liquids and increase the speed at which his defensive martial skill progressed by a lot. Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er quickly arrived at the registration site. A stream of people was flowing in. After lining up for a moment, some inside information entered Duan Ling Tian's ears. Let me tell you guys, the disciples who get into the top 10 in this year's clan martial meet will not only be able to enter the 3rd floor of the Martial Repository Pavilion and choose a high-grade profound rank martial skill, they will also obtain 3 100-year-old blood Lingzis and 10,000 silver, an outer court disciple said mysteriously. There hasn't been any news that leaked out so far. How do you know? Immediately, some people doubted him. Heh, you guys don't know this, but my cousin's neighbor's daughter-in-law's nephew is an inner court disciple. It was he who unintentionally overheard the discussion of a few elders. The outer court disciple from before complacently laughed. What's the prize for the top 3? Another person asked. The prizes for the top 3 are nearly similar to last year. Besides entering the 3rd floor of the Martial Repository Pavilion and choosing 2 high-grade profound rank martial skills, they will also obtain a 200-year-old blood Lingji and 30,000 silver. How about the champion? The champion, on top of choosing 3 high-grade profound rank martial skills, will obtain a 350-year-old blood Lingji and 100,000 silver. Oh my god, 350-year-old blood Lingji? The prize for last year's champion was a 300-year-old blood Lingji, and it was already shocking. I didn't expect that this year's prize for the champion would be even better. I heard last year's champion, Li Feng, used the 300-year-old blood Lingji and cultivated his high-grade profound rank martial skill to the mastery stage in one go. Among the youths below the age of 20 in the clan currently, without using weapons, no one is able to break through his defense. Yeah, Li Feng is a rare genius of our Li clan, and he's only 19 this year. Hearing the discussion in his surrounding, Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed. 350-year-old blood Lingji? If he could obtain it and concoct it into medicinal liquid, it would be more than enough to assist him, Ku Er, and his mother's defensive martial skills to all break through to the mastery stage. If I can break through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage before the clan martial meet, becoming the champion won't be impossible. Drawing in a deep breath, Duan Ling Tian made a decision in his heart to go all out. Spare no efforts to break through. The clan martial meet was restricted to Li clan disciples between the ages of 16 and 18. Once one turned 19, it would be considered leaving the scope of the term youth, and they would be called young man. This restricted from participating in the clan martial meet. According to what Duan Ling Tian knew, in the inner court, disciples at the age of 18 were mostly at the 9th level of the body tempering stage, and a few had already stepped into the core formation stage. Unless he breaks through to the 9th level of the body tempering stage, it will be extremely difficult to compete against them. Eventually, it was Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er's turn. At the registration site, the two of them registered and each got a number card. Duan Ling Tian was number 77. Ku Er was number 78. The Aurora City Li family main clan had a population of almost 10,000. Youth disciples between the ages of 16 to 18 amounted to nearly 300 people. Besides a portion of inner court disciples, outer court disciples that met the criteria for registration amounted to over 200 people as well. For the first round of the clan martial meet, the inner court disciples obtained a bye to the second round, whereas the outer court disciples would compete for 30 placements to directly become inner court disciples. The start of the second round would be the true fierce struggle, deciding the top 10, top 3, and even the champion, winning matchless honor and generous prizes. The first round of the clan martial meet competition would begin after 10 days. For the next 10 days, besides eating and sleeping, Duan Ling Tian was practically always cultivating the 9 Dragons War Sovereign technique. Absorbing 7 treasures body, tempering liquid in extremity, desperately assimilating the dark spirit fruit's medicinal strength. For the sake of the 350-year-old blood Lingji, Duan Ling Tian was really going all out this time. Tomorrow is the clan martial meet, but I still haven't broken through until now. Luckily, after the first round, the second round will only begin after 3 days. With my current strength, entering the top 30 of the outer court disciples in the first round isn't really a challenge. Thinking up to this point, Duan Ling Tian heaved a sigh of relief. In these past 10 days, besides cultivating, Duan Ling Tian did hear some rumors from Ku Er. The 6 treasures body tempering liquid had thoroughly become famous. Aurora City was going crazy over it. What the Li clan outer court disciples discussed the most nowadays was the 6 treasures body tempering liquid. If anyone's parents bought them some 6 treasures body tempering liquid, it would attract the jealousy and envy of many outer court disciples. Along with the arrival of Aurora City's 3 great clans clan martial meets, the 6 treasures body tempering liquid's supply could not meet the demand. People who had no accumulated wealth in their homes would even go so far as to borrow money in order to be able to buy some 6 treasures body tempering liquid for their children. The clan martial meets affected the lives of many. If one was unable to become an inner court disciple by the age of 19, their life would be doomed to end without any accomplishments. As a parent, no one would hope for their children to face this. Of course, the 6 treasures body tempering liquid did allow many 18-year-old outer court disciples to achieve a further breakthrough before the clan martial meet, increasing their chances of advancing to become an inner court disciple. These examples that were plain for everybody to see caused the black market price of the 6 treasures body tempering liquid to experience a price hike to 3,000 silver a portion. A bunch of madmen. After hearing about all this, Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but be amazed. It was lucky that he had long ago told the medicine store manager to keep his identity a secret. Or else, if anyone knew that he was the one who concocted the 6 treasures body tempering liquid, he would never get a shred of peace. In a wide courtyard of the Li clan, whoosh, an extremely swift figure stepped in at a peculiar pace. The figure flew past as if it had transformed into a gust of wind. The figure stopped and revealed itself. It was a youth at around the age of 17. It was precisely Li Yuan. Haha, good. Yuan, your unfettered steps has finally stepped into the mastery stage. With this, besides Li Kuang, there will be no one in the outer court who can be your match. Even entering the top 10 of the clan martial meet wouldn't be impossible. A middle-aged man who stood at the side laughed. I will surely enter the top 10 of the clan martial meet. If I can obtain 3 100-year-old blood Lingji, my golden bell cover will be able to step into the mastery stage earlier. Li Yuan's eyes flickered, showing incomparable confidence. Quickly, a towering youth's figure flashed inside his mind. Duan Ling Tian. Last time, my movement technique was inferior to yours, allowing you to gain the upper hand. But this time, my unfettered steps has been cultivated to the mastery stage. I will surely defeat you and mercilessly humiliate you. Unfettered steps, a middle-grade profound rank movement technique. When cultivated to the mastery stage, its speed will in no way be inferior to Duan Ling Tian's spirit serpent movement technique. In a slightly cramped courtyard, whoosh, An icy cold sword shine flew out accompanied by more than 10 sword afterimages. It was as if a sword net had been condensed in the air, without an opening and extremely powerful. Clang! The 3-foot-long blade entered its sheath. I have finally stepped into the initial stage before the clan martial meet. The green-clothed young girl stood still. Her face had a light smile. A married woman with a slightly pale complexion was standing in front of the door, coughing twice before she slowly said, Sure. You need to properly thank the person that passed this sword skill to you. Mom, why are you out here? Your body isn't well, so stay inside your room more often, and don't come out often. Li Shi's face emitted a trace of reproach, supporting the married woman into the room. In another courtyard. You really are trash. I passed the howling tiger fist to you so long ago, but until now you still haven't broken through to the mastery stage. Li Zhong looked at Li Xiao with a gloomy expression. Brother, I'm sorry. Li Xiao lowered his head, not daring to retort. Zhong, stop scolding your brother. He has already worked hard. It's just he's limited by his natural talent, which is far from yours. The middle-aged man who was standing nearby couldn't bear to watch any longer, so he interrupted. Dad, it's because you've spoiled him. Li Zhong frowned as he left Li Xiao behind and angrily returned to his room.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.